Hi again, everybody. I'm Dick Gabriel. Welcome to the UK Football Complex. It is Pro Day here in Lexington, and we'll be with you this morning throughout, joined by former Wildcats Freddie Maggard and Jeremy Jarman. Both of these gentlemen went through Pro Day at Kentucky, and Mr. Jarman, of course, spent time in the NFL. They have both gone through this, and we are already underway. There's JoJo Kemp trying to get up as high as he can, fellas. We've already got some numbers coming in.
Yeah, J.D. Harmon, vertical leap of 35, which is not surprising. Jeremy, J.D. won two state championships in the high jump and long jump at Paducah Tillman High School. We expected him to jump well today.
Absolutely, we did. He's an explosive athlete. He's really, I think he's got a really good opportunity to make a team. This season.
What does JoJo have to do to impress? Because he's had good numbers and good games here, but that hasn't commanded the headlines as some of these other guys have.
I think that they're going to really want to see JoJo. They want to see him hit the averages in terms of about the last 6 to 8 years with some of the athletic intangibles they look for. But they want to see him get out here and do some field drills. They want to see him move around. They want to see if he can catch the ball. Those are going to be the things that they're looking at from him.
JoJo just jumped vertically 36.5 inches. That's a very good jump for JoJo. So Kemp is starting his day out well with a solid vertical jump.
Just got to look as he was congratulated by Boom Williams, who went through the NFL Combine. 2 Wildcats went through the Combine, and that was Boom Williams and John Toth. So he'll get a lot of attention. There's JoJo again today, or just now. Tell us what he's going to be doing here and why they like it.
He's doing the broad jump here. What the broad jump and the vertical test is explosion by the athletes. They want to see how explosive those lower bodies are. And normally, Jeremy, the 40 and the broad jump, the broad jump and the high jump, or the vertical, project to the 40. That shows how quickly they can burst from still movement to initial motion movement.
Right. At that running back position, fullback position, the standard's been about 9 feet 10 inches. So that's kind of what they're looking at. They want to see if he kind of fits that mold.
Got a good look as well at Blake McLean with the the vertical jump. Blake, a big play defensive back for the Wildcats through his career.
Yeah, Blake did a lot of things at Kentucky. I remember early in his career, what he was known for was how he blitzed the quarterback from the nickel position. Blake started 35 games at Kentucky, very active. In 2016, his senior year, had 62 tackles. He looked like he really liked that jump there, Jeremy. We'll get the results here in a minute, but McLean was an active defender and already has graduated with a degree in communications.
You know what's interesting about this class, fellas, is these were the guys who came in when things weren't going very well.
Right.
And they took a few on the chin early, and then they were part of the turnaround here, which is big.
McLean just jumped 36 inches. That's a good jump for a defensive back.
Yes, it is. Really excited to see him participate today. He's a guy that really stepped in this year with some injuries. They're looking at him for that nickelback position.
Yeah, exactly. The nickelback, or to match up against the tight end and sub packages. We're going to talk about something that all these seniors or those that participate today have in common, Jeremy. These guys played their best games against the biggest opponents of the year.
Yep.
Blake McLean had an interception against Louisville in the fourth quarter, which helped Kentucky bring the Governor's Cup back to Lexington.
And in a game that didn't go too well for the Wildcats, he did what he could. He had 9 tackles against Florida.
Yeah.
One of the things that he's done really well over the course of his year, Freddie, you can attest this, both of you guys, is his open field tackle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if he can come in here and he can put up really good numbers today, that's really going to put pressure on these scouts. Go back, look at the tape, and really appreciate that open field tackle that he's displayed.
The thing about Blake, McLean, he can play multiple positions. He can play both safeties. He can play nickel. He can, at the next level, will project to an active special teams player. Blake McLean is a versatility, I think, is his strength going into the professional ranks.
That's a guy right there, Marcus McWilson, who, to your point, had a huge game against Louisville, didn't he?
He did. That was his best game with 9 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. And again, you look at Mississippi State, another big win for Kentucky. Had pick 6 there in the fourth quarter to help seal the deal, 8 tackles. So in Kentucky's big wins this year, Marcus McWilson played very well. Mark Stoops has said on many occasions that he wished he had a chance to redshirt Marcus.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Marcus coming back, having another year? But went to the same high school as Mark Stoops, as Cardinal Mooney out of Youngstown.
That's why I wanted to redshirt him, to have another Cardinal Mooney guy around for another year. It reminds him constantly he's the second best defensive back to come out of Cardinal Mooney.
Marcus just jumped 34 inches on a vertical. That's a solid number.
Yes, it is.
Obviously,
At 212 pounds, that's a good number.
Yeah, for safety. Explosiveness really key. Didn't like that jump, obviously, but explosiveness really key for DBs.
He's got to stick that.
Yeah, you got to stick that landing for it to count. If you move forward once you land in a broad jump, then the jump is faulted. So you have to jump, then stick it.
You saw JoJo Kemp doing everything he could to maintain his balance.
Courtney Miggins, one of the things that NFL scouts was going to like about Courtney Miggins is he was a team captain. Jeremy came from junior college, 40 tackles, 4 tackles for loss. He was solid in the run game, didn't produce a lot of quarterback sacks, but he's that big body 3-4 defensive end that can stuff the run and set the edge against the run game and possibly develop pass moves and improve his status.
I really want to see his measurables today because he really got better over his 2 years here, Freddie. And I really think that it's going to be interesting to see how his numbers stack up against the Darius's.
How interesting is it to you guys, because it is to me, that he's a junior college transfer, and yet to your point, he's elected. He didn't come in and go through the whole 4 years, and yet he's elected a team captain his senior year.
The thing that interested me is he was a junior college player, but he was a 1-year starter.
Yep.
And elected by his teammates and coaches as a team captain. That says a lot for Courtney Miggins.
And it's rare. You don't see a lot of junior college guys come in and be able to command that kind of attention and respect. Sometimes there's a negative connotation to junior college players coming in. People thinking that they may
baggage.
Yeah, baggage, that they may not be as committed. So there's a lot of little stigmas like that. But to see him come in and be embraced that way, it says a lot about him and the program that he came from.
Courtney Miggins originally signed with Louisiana Lafayette, then went to junior college, came to Kentucky, had 2 productive years for Mark Stoops, especially as I say it again, as a run stuffer in that 3-4 defense.
Got better and better as the season went on.
He like you said earlier, Gabe, he was sneaky solid as a defensive lineman here.
Big game against South Carolina. The South Carolina wins under Mark Stoops have been just key to his seasons. And if you have a big game against the Gamecocks, you're helping your team move up.
Miggins jumped 27 inches. Big guy, over 300 pounds or close to 300 pounds at 6'6". So he's got to stick that.
He's got to stick that.
Yeah, you have to stick that to make it count.
They're in the weight room right now. You can't really see it if you've not been in there, but the weight room is right next door to where we are. And there's Ryan Timmons, wide receiver, slot receiver for the Wildcats. But the complex, of course, is connected now. Ryan out of Frankfurt and was the first big get for this coaching staff when Mark Stoops and his staff arrived here in Kentucky.
Ryan Timmons began to enjoy the game of football at the age of 5 when his mother bought him his first football. That's how he fell in love with the sport. Wants to be a teacher and a coach post-football. Had 112 career catches here at Kentucky. That's a high number, 1,254 yards and 5 touchdowns.
He talked before the season began about really wanting to make an impact as a senior, and he did that and helped his team get to a bowl game.
Ryan Timmons was one of the first players that Mark Stoops and his staff went to see once they got the job here at Lexington.
Yeah, that was a big pickup. A lot of people thought he was heading to Florida.
Yeah.
And
I did. I thought he was heading for Florida.
Ryan had a 32-inch vertical there.
Now here's a guy who turned heads all year, really, John Toth. And Freddie, you've liked him since the moment he set foot on this campus.
Yeah, with Toth participated in the NFL Combine, had a solid day there, not a great day. John Toth is not going to wow you athletically. What John Toth brings you for a team in the NFL is 48 consecutive starts. That consistency, that much film, playing at a high level, led the team with 69 knockdown blocks this year. Again, how they play in the biggest games, had 10 knockdowns against Louisville, 9 knockdowns against Tennessee. Also the highest graded offensive player in the Reese's Senior Bowl in Mobile.
Yeah, that says a lot about John. We all knew that over the last few years. We've been spoiled by his commitment to the program. And I think he's just trying to come out here today, improve on his vertical from the combine, possibly improve on his 40-yard dash, and maybe his cone drill.
Yeah, jumped 25 inches in Indianapolis at the combine. We'll see what his number here is here today.
Guys, I get the reason for all these drills with regard to O-linemen, except one, the 40. I mean, when is an O-lineman? And this is a classic question, been asked to run 40 yards as fast as he can, but they need to be able to get from here to there, right?
Yeah, Jeremy and I looked at some statistics before this started. Travis Frederick, the center for the Cowboys, considered one of the top centers in the NFL, ran a 5.59 in Indianapolis. John ran a 5.51.
Right.
I'm not so sure that the 40-yard dash is that important for the big fellas.
Right. They're really going to be looking at that 10-yard split, but I think, John, he wants to see his time.
Yeah.
He'd like to see it get down into the 5.2, 5.3 range, which is the average for centers going to the NFL
well, they're
Combine.
competitive, too.
Right.
He improved his he just improved his vertical jump by 1 inch, jumped 26, jumped 25 in Indianapolis. The scouts will like the fact that he improved over the course of less than a week, so that's a good positive for John Toth.
They're moving to the bench press now, so we'll rejoin in just a minute. Jeremy, let me ask you, I know why you love centers, because you were a quarterback, and they protected you with everything they had. You went up against O-linemen. You never had to go up against John Toth, but you went up against the guys like him. What is the challenge for a D lineman going up against a guy like John Toth in the NFL?
Well, John Toth's very intelligent, so knowing that as a guy that may be wrapping around on some of those pass rushes, you may be thinking about how you need to hide a little bit more if you're coming around and doing the stunt, because John, he's very cerebral. He's going to look and he's going to evaluate. He understands where the blitzes are coming from, so that's really what he brings, and he has those long arms. His arms are longer than average, so when he gets those arms on you and he's able to press and extend you out, the play's probably done for you.
And you know he has spent a lot of time studying you, right?
Absolutely.
Toth, all SEC, was the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week on multiple occasions.
Leader,
team captain. Another thing, this is everything a team looks for in an offensive lineman. John Toth has.
You know, something that nobody's even brought up is John Toth is is fluent in Spanish.
Yeah.
They could go tomorrow to Latin America and bring a guy and just lean on John to be the one to pass it.
or play a game in Mexico City.
Taco Meat Collins here. I look for him to have a big number in the bench press here, Jeremy. This is 225 pounds, and the object of this drill is to bench press it as many times as you can. Now, you can't lift your back off the bench press.
Right.
You can't use your feet to create leverage. This is just straight up upper body strength. And this also is a gauge for the NFL scouts to say, how has this young man been working to prepare for this event? Because you just can't over athlete the bench press. You have to have worked on that to have a good number here.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the NFL, as you all know, is shifting away from a traditional fullback set offense where they're really relying on tight ends to do some of those angle blocks.
Yeah.
Collins out of Jackson, Kentucky, a track star in high school.
Yeah, was a track star. Yeah, his mother,
His mom was a track star.
His mother, Betty, Jeremy, high jumped 5'8" here at Kentucky. That's still top 7 of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, so Collins has some track DNA in him there. Here's Tanner Fink, another fullback tight end type from Oldham County, North Oldham High School near Louisville, and he's repping these out here.
Man, he is.
You have to lock your elbows for him to count, though.
This is a really good display of endurance here.
Endurance is a great point there. But also, the longer-armed athletes have less likelihood to succeed in this drill because you got farther to push it out. How many did you get on this, Jeremy?
I think I was around that 19-20 mark, so I was below the average. I think for defensive ends, it's about 23.
Yeah.
So I was a few below.
Didn't hurt you.
No.
They liked other things you did, obviously. It's interesting, too, the camaraderie that you guys build in the weight room.
Fink just had 31 reps on the bench.
Oh, my.
That's a very good. Taco Meat Collins had 18. Fink with 31.
31. This is where the technique comes in as well. These guys have spent all their competitive lives lifting weights.
J.D. Harmon here on the bench.
Yep. Another guy who's sneaky good, I think.
This is a 200-pound athlete here, guys. And I think, what J.D. Harmon did last year would go unnoticed, but Professional Football Focus, or PFF, had Harmon as a second-team All-SEC special teams player.
Yes.
I think that is where J.D. will make his money at the next level, Jeremy, because he's diverse. He can play safety, nickel. He's played corner, and he is excellent on special teams.
Right. That gunner position is really going to be where he's going to need to excel in the preseason to really establish a presence on the team.
14 repetitions at 225 for J.D. Harmon. That's an okay number. For a D-back, that's not bad.
Not JoJo Kemp.
from this angle, it looks like there's 3 plates on that.
It does. JoJo Kemp had 10 carries for 32 yards against Louisville, the biggest game of the year.
Good
but
start.
you got to realize that fourth quarter is where JoJo took over and got those tough yards to get up to the point to Austin McGinnis kicking the field goal to win the game.
He'll always be remembered for stepping in at the Wildcat position against South Carolina. And really set a tone for Kentucky.
He ran himself into exhaustion that night, if my memory is correct. But I think JoJo, for that effort, for staying with the program, JoJo was a highly recruited kid. It was a high number coming out of high school. So for him to select Kentucky, one of the first big names to do so, Kemp is very popular with the UK fan base.
Absolutely.
And they kept recruiting over.
Nice 23 reps for JoJo. That's a good number.
That's a very good number. That's the number. That's the average for the fullback position. So he's right there.
For comparative purposes, Boone Williams had 18 reps at the combine. So JoJo just gets 23 there on the bench press. Good number for him.
These guys drawing strength from their teammates in the weight room watching. And this is right next to where they were jumping a few moments ago.
The bench press, it tests strength, obviously, but endurance. This is an endurance test because you judged by the number of repetitions. This is not a max or how much weight you can push up. It's the number of times you can do 225.
Did you guys like lifting weights? Did you learn to like it? Because I talked to some guys who always hated it. Guys always hated it, and some guys learned to like it.
I learned to like it. The only lift that I was good at was the power clean, and I think I cleaned 370 or something like that.
Right.
But that's really not a strength test. That's an athletic test. That's not a brute strength.
Yeah, I like those kind of functional movements like that with the power cleans. I never was big on going and trying to see how much weight I could put on my back and squat down with it. The average weight of the guy you're playing against offensive line is 315. Can you lift 315? Can you squat 315?
Blake McLean with 13 repetitions there. This is Marcus McWilson. He's pushing them out pretty good. Pace also comes into play here. You don't want to go too fast. And you got to lock your elbows out there.
Back's coming up a little bit.
So that doesn't count. He's got one more left in him, I believe.
He might have one more.
Come on.
Lock it.
Lock it out. Take it.
Yeah.
Take it. I was never a big bench press guy. That was something. And then I was a quarterback here at Kentucky, and towards the end of my career, the coaches actually made me stop lifting weights and went strictly.
You were getting too buff, is it?
Yeah. I was getting too stiff.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, too stiff.
Marcus McWilson with 19 repetitions
Not
there.
bad.
That's a good number for a safety.
Very good number.
Courtney Miggins, here's what you wanted to see, Jeremy. Right there. With Courtney, this test for a 3-4 defensive end tells how strong he is at the point of contact because he's going to have to go against elite left tackles and right tackles in the National Football League. Something that you did, Jeremy. Talk about the transition from college to the NFL, going against these monstrous offensive tackles that are in the league now.
Yeah, where he's going to play possibly lined up, head up on some of the tackles, two-gapping. He's not going to be an outside rush guy. He's going to be an interior guy that's going to be seeing double team. So scouts, they really want to see him get on this bench. You want to see him get into those low 20s, ideally. Just to give you an idea, Darius Smith, a similar comparison to make here, had about 23 bench press reps.
17 reps for Miggins. That's a little low for a defensive end.
It's a little low.
Yeah. He does have the long arms, though.
Right, he has those long arms. Teams know that, he's going to be a guy they bring in and give him time to develop.
Right.
Ryan Timmons now, wide receiver.
Kentucky's third leading receiver in 2016 with 23 catches for 266 yards.
A sprinter in high school, and those guys have to develop upper body strength.
Timmons fits the mold of an NFL slot receiver.
Yeah.
They're really going to, great body type, great speed and acceleration. They're going to get out here, and he's going to be under the microscope on these field drills, catching the football. 1,254
yards are good enough for 20th all-time in the history of Kentucky football.
And that's with a slow start to his career.
Yeah.
15 reps, not too bad for a wideout.
No, that's where he wants to be.
So So they've wrapped up the bench press, and pretty soon they'll be over here behind us in the field house. But everybody thinks about the combine. All they think about is the 40. There's so much more that goes into it, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, the interviews that you go through with teams. I think, with the interviews are just as important as your 40 or your bench press.
Sure.
Because it's a job interview. I mean, you're trying out for a job, and teams really get in there and grill you on knowledge of the game. If you love the game, they can gauge players' passion for the game of football just by sitting down and talking and asking a few questions.
Yeah, another element that's really important is the background checks. Do you pass those? And what I mean by that, they're going to go back. Some of these guys, they're going to talk to high school principals.
Yep.
They're going to talk to high school teachers, other people that were influential around you. This isn't just how did this guy play over here in Commonwealth on Saturdays? We like him. Let's get him, sign him on our team. No, they want to know what kind of person that they're getting, and they're going to talk with everybody on your college campus and in your background.
When we come back, we're going to hear from the man who brought them here, head coach Mark Stoops. It's Pro Day on the University of Kentucky campus. We're back in just a minute. Welcome back to the Kentucky Football Complex. We're at the Nutter Fieldhouse here in Lexington. Dick Gabriel, Freddie Maggard, Jeremy Jarmer. We're joined now by UK head coach Mark Stoops. Mark, congratulations on a great season. And this is always an exciting day for you, your program, and your seniors.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate these guys. They've been solid all the way through. We're very proud of them and wish them nothing but the best. I miss these guys. I just saw Boom. I said, man, I haven't seen you for a while. Just because I don't have to yell at them and chase them to class anymore doesn't mean they can't stop in and see us. So,
Mark, the things that jumped out at me is Coach Edmond and Coach Hill have done a tremendous job here with their strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, definitely. They do a great job. Our players really have great respect for them. They love working out with them, and they know how to get the most out of these players, and that's what's most important.
Coach, in years past, prior to you coming, a lot of the former players, they felt more comfortable leaving and going to other places where the facilities were a little bit better. Now with this new practice facility, talk about how these current players have embraced staying in Lexington and training at the new facility with Coach Hill and Coach Edmond.
Well, that's what we want. I think, even before the facilities are built, since I've been here and certainly with these guys and with all the former players is you want them to feel at home right here. It's not about the big fancy buildings, it's about the people in them, just like we talked about with our strength and conditioning coaches, with our coaches, being approachable, being welcome, and all the ex-players are always welcome here. This is their place, their university, their alma mater, and we want them to feel at home, and I think that helps the program, just having the players around. Certainly the players that are playing in the NFL right now, we like seeing them back.
Right.
But all the players, even out of shape guys like you.
Wow.
If I wanted to come get in shape over here, you think Coach Hill, Coach Edmond, you think they're up for the task?
They'll get you.
No.
Well,
They're good. They're not miracle workers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've been told to get me in shape too, and that hasn't happened. So we'll see what they can do with us too.
Mark, with Avery Williams, with all these guys, Bud Dupree's and Darius Smith, now with John Toth and Ben Williams, is that good for your younger players to see these guys working out to go to the next level?
Without a doubt, and it is for the players that are here to give them motivation. And it is for the future, for recruiting. I think it's very important to see, the product on the field getting better, and to see us developing the players that we're, that we talk about so much. So I think it's critically important.
A couple of points before we let you go, Mark. I mentioned earlier, this senior class, these were the guys that you went out and had to get right when you got here. And they hung in with you, and they went from the bottom to the top with you, in figures speaking. But the other thing, too, is they have helped turn this place into a destination location for pro scouts. Back in the day, NFL scouts thought, yeah, maybe I'll go to Lexington, maybe I won't. We'll see what they've got. Now they've got to be here, don't they? That's where you are.
Well, yeah. And again, we want more and more of that.
Yeah.
We were certainly proud of some of the guys in the past and some first-round picks, and we want to continue to do that. We want many guys. I think we have quite a few seniors that'll be on NFL rosters right now, these guys that are working out, and I think we have some guys on our team that have potential to be some high draft picks. So that's what we want, and we want them here. And you know, our coaches do a great job with this day, and we want them to feel very welcome.
Well, the 40s are about to begin. I know you want to be over there, so we're going to turn you loose. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Have
Always
a great
good
day.
to see you. Thank you.
We'll come back in just a moment. We're here in Lexington, Kentucky. It's Pro Day on the UK campus. Back in just a minute here on the SEC Network.
Show those arms, stay relaxed. From your shoulders. Pass. Push. Good. Get off that surface. Got knee dribble from your shoulders. Knee dribble from your shoulders. Knee dribble from your shoulders. Same deal. Same woman. Good. Smooth. Lift. Good, Rambo Daddy. Good. Don't reach on it. Good. Got about 6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6. Knock it across kicks. On the verge. Let's go downward dog. Downward dog. Back up. Good. Relax. Dog. Good. After that, let's go line cross.
Welcome back to the Nutter Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Kentucky. Dick Gabriel with Freddie Maggard and Jeremy German, guys who know what Pro Day is all about. They went through it, and in just a moment we're going to do two things. We're going to watch the 40s, which are always interesting, and we're going to talk with one of the strength coaches, Mark Hill, who is right now stretching guys out because, fellas, as you know, this is huge for these guys, and they've got to be absolutely ready to run their best 40s.
Yeah, the 40 is all about the start. If you get that good, explosive, low start, then stride out, numbers can be good. But 40-yard, like you said, this is one of the most impactful drills for a few positions. I'm not so sure, like John Toth, if a 5.51 at the combine, that didn't help him, didn't hurt him. So 40 is more for the skill players. I'm anxious to see what Ryan Timmons runs here, if Boone Williams runs again, and JoJo Kemp.
It's crazy to think that the difference between some of these players is 3 to 4 steps. That's what the first 10. 3 steps for some guys, 4 for others. And that's what separates you for being a second or third round player.
And you always read about guys who seek out, and I'm sure they volunteer, the track coaches to help them with their form. And a lot of these guys, as you pointed out, ran track in high school. That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It does. It's got to, because there's ways you learn how to, like, for example, we were always taught with your hands to hold a potato chip, then turn the potato chip into a hammer. So your hands are loose up top, then you hammer on your back when you go your arms in your backward motion.
So we can
little techniques like that.
Sit here and shot potato chip at these guys as they run by?
Well, I think in the decades that's passed since I played football here, I'm sure that training has advanced somewhat.
Yeah, those aren't on hieroglyphics anymore. They actually, I think we've moved past that, Freddie. I'm curious when we get Coach Hill over here. I'm really curious to see if there's any interaction with some of these players, especially with their track backgrounds.
Right.
With Coach Floreal.
Exactly.
Saw Coach Floreal in here yesterday, and I remember when he was coming in, years back, and I was amazed by just seeing kind of the transformation of the track program. So I'm curious to see if there's any interaction between the two programs.
Well, the job he's done on this program, developing All-Americans, All-Conference, and a world record holder,
right.
I would go and knock on his door.
Yeah, I was in awe yesterday when we saw his track athletes running around here. Man, they glide.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a very, very impressive.
We jumped right into it this morning when we came on the air, but I wanted to ask you, I talked to you guys last year, but for anybody who either wasn't taking notes, and I can't imagine they weren't, or don't remember, tell us a little bit about your experiences at Pro Day, the nerves, and what was going through your mind and things like that, because Freddie, you went on to other things, and Jeremy, you went on to the NFL, but what was it like for you guys? The morning you wake up, it's like, this is it.
I can't say that I was nervous, because as a quarterback, Pro Day or these activities were probably the best thing that I did. I didn't throw the ball very well, but I ran well, jumped high, and lifted and all that things. But I don't think I was ever nervous, but you could see the guys that were going to be drafted. They had a different attitude because they knew this was their big job at the interview. I knew I was not going to play in the NFL. I just relaxed, had a good time, and come out of here and just competed.
Right.
Jeremy.
I think that they try and take the nerves away from it, and one of the ways that they do that is by doing this group style workout.
Yeah.
This is just like another workout. You're working out with guys you've been with for the last 3-4 years, some guys 5 years. So you come out here, you compete against them the same way you've been doing with some of the off-season and in-season drills. So it takes the nerves out of it.
This is home field turf for these guys. You go to Indianapolis for the combine, that you're on their terms. Here, you're on your own terms. You're familiar with the facilities, and these guys usually have a better 40 time here.
Yeah, and as we said, they root for each other there in the weight room. They've been living in the weight room. You know, they spend more time in that. People don't realize you guys spend more time in the weight room than you do on the football field playing games. So that's just another home for them, and we're going to be joined here. Go ahead, Coach, put that on, and we'll get started. I know you want to get back to your guys here in just a moment, but Mark Hill joining us, part of the strength and conditioning crew, and they were just bragging on you before you walked up about just what kind of shape these guys are in. First of all, thanks for coming over. Secondly, what goes through your mind today? I know how hard you're rooting for these guys.
You know what? It's a culmination of careers, and it's a day for guys to realize a dream that a lot of them have had since childhood. For me, I'm just trying to get those guys to stay relaxed, realize it's just another day. Yeah, it's game day in a sense, but it's just another day. You've been running and jumping and doing things your whole life, and just trying to get them to stay calm. And I always tell guys to trust their training, which means you've been preparing for weeks, for months for this particular day, and you just go through the rhythmic motions of everything you're doing. And when they get in front of the scouts, it's just time to put on the show.
Coach, can you talk about the importance of the start here? They're getting ready to run to 40. How important is that start of them getting out of the gate low, coming up for the glide?
That start is something that, when we're training guys for Pro Day, we work on pretty much 3 to 4 times a week. It's the most important part of the 40. If you can get a good start, especially for those big guys, O-line and D-line, scouts really don't look as hard as their 40 time as much as they do their 10 and their 20 time. And that start is an integral part of it. You want to see if guys can get out and be explosive, stay low, and just maintain a good time. And that, a quality, good start can make all the difference in your actual 40 time.
We saw yesterday Coach Floreal in here working with the women's track team. Coach, how similar are the starts that are being taught for football players compared to the way that he was possibly teaching his women's track athletes?
You know what? It's a slight difference. More so than a big difference. They have the ability to have blocks, to have something to push off of. Their steps are more measured, especially when you're talking about hurdlers and the 60 meter or the 100 meter. For us, it's that 40 goes quick, and it's a 4-second race. It's a 4-second event, and they have to get all those steps measured just the right way. And I mean, if you got a 4.61, if you get a good start, it's a 4.55. It's just the way it goes. And so it's just something you train. Track is a little bit different, and so that you get the ability to push off those blocks, and then you got to get upright depending on if you're doing a hurdle or the 60 or the 100.
Aren't many professions where a half a second makes such a difference or can make such a difference. So, as you said, there's pressure, but you've tried to help them relax. And you've also been around this quite a bit, around NFL combines, around NFL scouts. I've got to think that's an enormous help for these guys. You have their full attention when you're talking to them, right?
You know what? I like to think so. This is my 17th year doing it, and
wow.
I usually every year I go to the combine. I didn't go this year because of the start of our spring ball, and they pushed the combine back. And that gives me the ability to see everything. I've seen a lot. By no means am I an expert, but you know what? I'm quite experienced in it. And the guys typically buy into that and listen, you know, and I just try to embark that knowledge on them that I see. A lot of it doesn't change. A lot of it doesn't change at all. You know, they want you to run fast, jump high, and be agile, you know, but at the end of the day, your resume really is what's on tape. The scouts want to see if what you've done on tape measures with a day.
Right. Coach, thank you for coming by. The
Thanks.
40s are about to begin. I know you want to be over there for your guys. Thanks so much. Congratulations, by the way.
Good work, too.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Coach.
it.
Excellent
That's
work.
Markel, Kentucky, one of the strength and conditioning coaches, and those are his guys. He's been working with them, a lot of them for 4 years, and they're getting ready for some of the most important 4 to 5 seconds of their lives.
Yeah, you can tell that Kentucky Strength and Conditioning program with Coach Hill, Coach Edmond, has improved drastically over the years since Mark Stoops has been here. I was at Coach Stoops' first pro day. It looked a whole lot different than the last couple, 2 or 3 pro days, Jeremy. The athletes have gotten bigger, stronger, faster. They're better athletically.
Right.
They're better football players, and you can see how the recruiting and the development that Mark Stoops has brought to this program is on full display at pro day.
I would agree with that. The cardio and conditioning, especially at those skill positions we saw. We definitely saw improvement in the cardio of guys like Boone Williams and some of the other members of the wide receiver and secondary group. So credit to those guys. We didn't get a chance to really talk with him about his philosophy and things like that and how it possibly differed from the guy that came before him.
We could be here all day on
that.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
I think folks got to realize that Coach Hill and Coach Edmond have more interaction with the players on the team than the actual football coaches.
That's correct.
They're around them the most in the offseason, in the summer. So your strength and conditioning coach and staff is very, very important. And that's why we're seeing salaries go through the roof with those guys.
You know, people hear, well, bigger, stronger, faster every year. And we, the media, we always talk about that. And, of course, every team out there that's worth anything is trying to get bigger and stronger and faster. But to me, the proof in the pudding is what has Kentucky done over the last couple of years in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Because how many games have we covered where we've seen teams that just can't quite close the deal because they get a little tired, they get worn out, and the other guys run over them? That's not happening as much anymore here, is it?
Well, we talked about three players that are in this pro day. Marcus McWilson with a pick 6 in the fourth quarter against Mississippi State. Blake McLean with an interception in the fourth quarter against Louisville. Ryan Timmons with that great catch in the fourth quarter against Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
JoJo Kemp against South Carolina, and et cetera. So these players, as they've progressively gotten older, have contributed more in the fourth quarter, and that's a direct reflection of Kentucky's strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, and just to take it to another level, it's the mental toughness element.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, there have been really good athletes that have been out on the field for Kentucky the last several years. The difference now is that it is glaringly obvious that this team was mentally tougher last year, and that's how they were able to close out some of those games and win them. And that starts with the strength and conditioning staff. It starts with that guy. It starts now. In the month of March, April, the summers when they're out there and they're doing their plyometrics on their own, that's when you're winning football games in the fall. It's through those off-season workouts where when that fourth quarter comes along and you hit adversity, because teams in this league are going to make plays. Are you going to hang your head, or are you going to dig down and you're going to find a way to win? And the way that you find a way to win is by competing in the off-season and your strength coach is breaking you down week after week and then building you back up and doing it over and over again until you can't be broken.
Well, classic example of up-the-middle toughness in the fourth quarter for Kentucky. Freshman running back Benny Snell went over 1,000 yards, broke several records here at the University of Kentucky, ran behind senior John Toth, who we're going to see at Pro Day. So I feel the strength of football teams on both offense and defense have to be up the middle.
Sure.
And we've seen an improvement in that area. I guess we can talk about John Toth having 48 consecutive starts. There's been a lot of consistency there for Kentucky.
Right. And if you're an NFL team and you're looking at that, that is beyond impressive. A player to be in the trenches, freshman All-American, All-SEC freshman, and then finish his senior year as was it the first team? He finished on the first team in SEC. That speaks volumes. Speaks volumes about the unit, the players that are running behind him,
and All-American as well, Jeremy.
So I mean, it's really impressive. Not to mention he's a mechanical engineering major. So you're looking at this and you're looking at his body of work and you're like, well, on the athleticism scale, he's not as elite as some of the guys in years previous, but 48 consecutive starts.
Yeah.
He's extremely intelligent.
I was thinking Benny Snell when you said All-American. That's why I said first team as a freshman All-American.
The other thing that impresses me is John Toth has been surrounded by some pretty good teammates, some pretty good O-linemen, but he's not surrounded by other All-Americans who can help each other, make each other look good. So, you know, and he's been a leader and all that stuff, and they all know that, the NFL people. But it's interesting. Benny Snell, I'm glad you brought him up, because how many times have we heard people say, well, it looks like he's getting stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah.
Well, you know, maybe he's not, but the other guys are getting tired.
Yeah,
and he's running right
we
over.
have to talk about John Schlarman's offensive
Absolutely.
line, rated by Cole Kublik of the SEC Network as the top unit in the Southeastern Conference.
Yep. So the 40s are about to begin. You saw the private instruction being given by a scout from the New York Football Giants.
Taco Meat Collins here, the fullback.
Like he had some pretty good strides there to me.
He did.
He rocked a little bit on his start.
Be interesting. Yeah, you can't roll out of that start.
He kind of rocked back, had like a little wasted motion, and I mean that could be the difference between a hundredth of a tenth of a second.
These times we're going to give you are all unofficial.
Right.
But we have Taco Meat Collins with an unofficial 4.9440. Tanner Fink with 30 repetitions on the bench press. His last one didn't count. We had him with 31.
Good start by Tanner.
Yep, kept that head down. Hard to keep it down through the whole 40, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to come up probably around that 20-yard mark.
Yeah.
That's when you start to stand up.
The guys who can keep it down longer, those are the guys who probably ran track in high school. But
Fink unofficial time is a 4.85.
Yeah.
So 4.81, that's not bad for Tanner Fink at all.
And again, these guys, it's just where do you put them if you want to bring them into camp. Depends on your offense. J.D. Harmon.
This is an important run from J.D.
Track star in high school, though.
Very explosive.
And he has the leopard skin Adidas.
Well, that's got to help.
There were even rumors at one time that he was going to possibly help out on the hardwood.
Fluid athlete, Jeremy. You think he can get on the team, get into camp? 4.56. That's a solid time.
That's a very solid time for him.
J.D. also part of the all-interview team, for whatever that's worth to you. Well, you know that.
Jamal Adams, a safety at LSU, projected the first safety in the draft. That's exactly what he ran. That's a good time for J.D. Harmon.
There's JoJo Kemp, crowd favorite.
Another very important 40 here.
Yep, and the leopard shoes. JoJo came from a small town.
DeLand, Florida.
Yep.
I like leopard. You can tell that's not cheetah. You sure it's leopard?
I have no
You have
idea.
to call it cheetah, yeah. It's fast. It's going to be fast, whatever it is.
Well, our viewing audience don't realize that Jeremy Jarman has a pair of those on right now.
Man, did you see that start?
I did.
That
This
was
is gonna be-
explosive now. I want to know what that 10 second.
4.62.
That start looked so
It
explosive.
did.
Now Blake McLean. JoJo, one of those guys who ran away from people.
Yeah.
He's football fast.
JoJo Kip is also durable.
Yes.
That's one thing. He played with a broken arm this year and played well, but highly durable. 356 touches without a turnover. That's the second longest streak in the history of the NCAA.
He's got to hold that a little bit longer.
You
He's
have
got
to
hold that.
Yeah, you have to hold your when you get in your stance, your off arm, meaning the hand that's not in the turf, has to be stable for 3 seconds prior to you starting. So that's why that was called a false start. I would be gassed after just doing that, running that page. That'd be it for me right there.
Time for a nap.
McLean was active in community here, led several reading initiatives.
They may
for
start
kids
that
in
over.
He just can't wait to get started.
Yeah, you got to hold that for 3 seconds. At the combine, what that does, you have to hold for 3 seconds because of the laser.
Yeah.
Any sum of movement starts the official clock, so you have to hold that for 3 seconds in place.
Now, one of the things that he has to do here is he has to show that he's coachable.
Yeah.
So he's got to listen to the instruction that they're giving him
That's a
on
good point.
what he needs to do.
It's a great point.
He needs to get off and have a good run here.
Yeah, that's one thing they look at the combine and these things. If you make the same mistake twice, they look at coachability. I think this, in McLean's case, is just being anxious. To
Right.
get that
Absolutely.
thing
Right. Better start.
Whoa.
Oh, my goodness.
4.47.
He helped himself
Yes, he
tremendously
did.
here.
Yeah, so the start and the finish, outstanding from
Yeah.
Blake McLean.
Smooth. That was a smooth run.
No
there for
wonder he
Blake.
couldn't wait to get started.
Right. Now, what that does is the team goes, hey, is the film room open so
Yeah.
we can go back in here and watch a
Yeah.
little bit of film before we take off?
And he's got
That's right.
35 starts under his belt. There's a lot of SEC
There
film on
is.
Blake McLean.
A lot of plays they can go back to. Here's a big play guy, Marcus McWilson.
Nice long stride.
And important to run right through the finish, obviously.
A couple things they teach in the 40, stay in a straight line, don't vary off left or right. 4.47.
Wow.
Another
That
good
was a
one.
really good run.
And also to relax your face. If you
Oof.
tense your face up in your arm, you run
Yep.
slower. So breathe, keep your head up.
Man, that was a good looking run.
That was a nice run there for Marcus.
Well, and you say breathe, and people say, well, yeah, but a lot of kids,
No, yeah, it's
they
not
hold
that,
their
yeah,
breath.
They do.
And all that does is work against you.
There's technique in all these drills.
Absolutely.
Bench press, there's a breathing technique you're supposed to
Absolutely.
use as well. 6'5", 285 for Courtney Meggins. We'll see what he does here.
You can see Courtney's strength.
He
is
looked
in
very
his,
relaxed.
Yeah.
He did.
His strength is in those legs and that trunk.
I want to see him get in that.
5.01.
That's not too shabby.
That's a good time for him.
Yeah.
We'd like to see him hit that 4.9 in this next one.
Yeah,
for sure.
Jonathan Allen, the defensive lineman at Alabama, run a 5 flat. So a 5.01 is a good time at 6'5",
And he's
285
big.
pounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Long arms, too. That's something else you look for, Jeremy.
He's got very long arms.
And when you think about what these guys are doing and the pressure, there is pressure, obviously, and no matter how much the coaches try to help them relax. And it sounds like a small thing, but the different scouts are standing and they all have garb that reflects where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that they bought at the department store right down the
Right.
street like we all do, So you've got a guy with a New York Giants pullover. He's from the New York Giants.
Right.
This is the guy you need to impress.
Yeah.
And that all adds up. We see the gentleman with a Pittsburgh Steelers pullover, and
That's one thing we've done this 3 years now.
Yeah.
And one thing I look forward to at breakfast before this event starts is the gear
Yeah.
that these scouts have on.
'Cause it's the real thing.
You realize that's their company logo.
That's exactly right.
They're not fans like me.
That's exactly
If
right.
I was to do that, I would come out decked out in Steelers gear from head to toe. But
Ryan Timmons, this ought to be interesting. Former
That's
track
a
star.
really good start by Timmons.
This is a guy who knows how to run.
more quick than fast.
Yep. But a sprinter.
4.48, good
Man.
time for Ryan.
Too
there.
shabby.
Right here, John Toth, 5.51 in Indianapolis last week at the combine. We'll see what the big guy can get here.
Shouldn't he have all the mechanical engineering type research going into this? Not the greatest start.
No.
This is possibly the last 40 of his life.
Didn't look happy with it.
No, he doesn't. 5.5, same number as the combine.
He looks really lean.
He does.
And look at him. He looks like he is in great shape.
He's always looked lean,
Yeah,
hasn't he?
He has.
It actually improved. It was 5.56 at the combine. Now
Okay.
5.5. That's an improvement for him. Here we go now.
This is Boom Williams. We've all seen him run away from some of the fastest DBs in the Southeastern Conference, but didn't run too terribly well in the NFL Combine. Not a great start.
No.
You can see
4.53. That start was
That
not.
that start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the start, out of that
yeah.
start, that's
first
not
step.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's better than what he ran in the combine.
Yeah.
Cleaning up that first step gets him into the 4.4s.
Yeah. 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 But with Boone, he's more quick than fast.
Right.
I mean, you want shiftiness. I mean, he's going to break out there and get that. But Boone Williams brings a lot to a team. People have to realize that Boone was a first-team freshman All-American as a kick returner.
Yep.
Didn't return kicks after his freshman year, but
Dynamic athlete.
Yeah.
As good of an athlete that's played here in a long time.
yeah.
Will Tom Collins running again.
5 flat for Will Tom.
Yep.
So he's right around that 4.94 and a 5 flat on 2 clocks. That's about right for Taco Meat.
Tanner Fink, former
Tanner
junior
Fink
college
is a
player.
sneaky good athlete here with 30
is.
repetitions on the bench press and a 4.81. His goal, post-football
That's a really
goal,
good start.
is to
Good
be a
long first step.
commercial airline pilot.
So he wants to fly here and then fly again.
That's right. What'd you say, Jeremy? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that first step that he had, it was powerful, it was long and explosive. Does not
4.75.
surprise me to see him get into the 4.7s.
Look at him.
That's good stuff.
Hey, that's C.J. Conrad. He's having shoulder surgery.
Yep.
He needs to watch out for that celebration there. That's a
J.D.
franchise
Harmon.
tight end there.
That's exactly right. J.D. Harmon will go again.
Very high on JD. I think he's going to have a chance today, with a follow-up 40 here and some other good agility work to
He's
really
a guy
impress.
that they had to throw into the mix as a true freshman, and he responded.
I think he beat his first time.
I think his start was better. Guy who can do a lot of things on the
4.47.
football.
Oh my
4.47.
goodness.
How about
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah,
That
yeah, it
first
is.
step. I don't know if someone talked to him over there, but
Yeah.
these first steps have cleaned up on some of these guys in the second run, and it's showing.
It's a big run for JoJo here. 4.62 in his first time. JoJo powerfully built. Look at his lower body there, guys. He could be a power back. What JoJo brings is between the tackle runner. He's also an excellent pass blocker. Brings a lot to a football team. Can play on special teams. JoJo gets into a camp. You have the chance to impress, Jeremy.
Could be a gunner.
Yeah. Thing we know about Kemp, great in the locker room.
Absolutely.
Leader. Teammates look up to him.
He's done really well academically here.
Yeah.
I think he's all SEC honor roll guy.
He is.
He's done really well here all around. They rave about him. Spent a little time at Ketz a few weeks ago, which is the Center for Academic Tutorial Services, and they're going to miss him. He's very well liked over there.
The internship with ESPN.
Think that scout there with the Steelers pull over would give that to me after we get down here?
Yes, I believe he would. Tell him who you are.
Yeah.
And tell him you know Jeremy Jarman.
Yeah. Tell him I'm Jack Lambert's nephew. How about that?
That would work.
Yeah.
Tell him you're Bud Dupree's brother.
That's right. Boy, did he put on a show
Oh, my
here.
gosh.
Were you here for that, Jeremy? Bud
No,
Dupree's
I
pro
was
day?
not.
Oh, my goodness. That was one of the most athletically impressive events I've ever been to.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, it was jaw-dropping.
We knew early on that Bud was up there with some of the best athletes at that position in the last decade.
You know, people always ask me, how can you tell, how can you project what round these guys go in? When I watched Bud Dupree, there was nothing that happened that did not say first rounder.
JoJo's trying to get that.
I thought
first
that first.
step.
You see
I
that?
did too. Yes.
You see that? That first step was it was different.
Yeah.
The first one
It
was
was
short.
better.
Someone's talking to him down there. I'm trying to get an eye on who it is.
Well, I saw Vince Merrill talk to
there
him
he
right
is.
after he ran, but there's Mark Hill.
The head strength coach is talking to him right there about that start.
Talking him up.
Boy, those guys are good.
They
Coach Hill
are.
and Coach Evans, they're really, really good. Okay, look here, Jeremy, break this down for us. Yeah, 1,002. You have to have that left arm up for 1,003 before you go.
I mean, it just shows that they're coachable.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Hill got up there and he explained it, kind of took over that responsibility for that scout, and they've been very receptive to that.
Yeah.
Help him relax too.
Right.
And again, this is the last 40-yard sprints these guys will most likely ever run. Once you get through here, then it's about the film and the interviews.
So
and
might
the
ask
field
you
drills.
to run one, but otherwise.
There we go.
There we go.
There
Much
we
better.
go. Great start.
Breathe, JoJo.
Breathe, yes.
He was a little tense.
Yeah.
He was a little
Yeah.
tense in that last
That
10,
slow you
15
down.
yards.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there it
you go.
is.
Much better.
That's a much better
4.54.
time.
Yeah.
Look at that improvement.
Yeah. He's got to breathe, though.
Got to
That-
breathe.
that-
That's your fuel.
critical.
Right.
That's your fuel. You got to get the oxygen.
Yeah, you tense up, you go slower.
Yeah. Now, he impressed last time by the time he got his start down.
Yeah, he did.
I would imagine he'll improve here, too.
5'11", 200 pounds, 4.47. That's an excellent time.
Again, a guy who played a lot of football
Yeah.
here.
You play that many snaps. You
Yes.
start that many games in the Southeastern Conference.
And make big pressure plays.
Yes.
There's a lot
In
of film.
space.
A lot of film on
And
Blake
he's-
McClain.
He's back to the false starts.
Come on.
But you can see how that
He's eager.
adrenaline
Right.
helped him last time.
He's eager.
Talk about fast twitch.
Yeah. Now you see a lot of former players at the start, or not current players and former players at the start line. This isn't a family event here in Kentucky.
That's a good way to put it.
And there's extra family members here for these guys, and also a lot of former and current players all pulling for them. There's that Steelers shirt. I'm going to get that, Jeremy.
That's a really good start
It
there.
is a good start. Very fluid. Got that head down.
Man,
Breathe.
that's a good run.
Nicely done. But yeah, they can't lock that breathing up. Easy to say, difficult to do.
4.48,
Yeah.
right around the same.
Yeah, that's who he is. He's a 4-4 guy.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
When they turn on that tape and they see the way that he played, how fast he played,
That's
and
what they-
aggressive,
Yeah.
it's rare to find a
Well,
player that
you-
can really tackle as well as he did in space. And that is a major strength for him.
In the NFL nowadays, you have nickel and dime packages and specialization. Blake McClain has proven on film in the Southeastern Conference that he can defend the pass,
Right.
but also rush the quarterback.
passer.
Yeah.
Well, they've also been exposed to more sophisticated pass defense under
Yes.
Mark Stoops.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the shift that's happening in the
Yes.
NFL. You've seen teams,
Multiple attacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the use of a slot receiver in
Yeah.
the last 8 years, it's increased 5% over the last 8 years of a slot receiver, 3 wide receiver
Yeah.
set. So what does that mean? Teams have to go out and find players like Blake McClain, guys that can plug in and play that nickel DB and help defend against right now. The elite slot receivers are unguardable in the NFL
Yep.
right now.
And because of the rule changes,
Yeah.
but they also have to be able to tackle, like you said, in space.
Just think about the defensive backs that Mark Stoops has put in the NFL. I mean, go back to Miami with those guys.
Yeah. Right.
All the way through up to now, Mark Stoops is considered a defensive back expert within the college football coaching ranks and produces a lot of players to the next level. Looks like he had a stutter step.
Not
there.
as good of a
Yeah.
first step for Marcus on this second run.
Head up. 4.53. Yeah, he had those stutter step there.
Right.
Cost him a
I
few
saw it too.
hundredths of a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's frustrated. He
Not
knew.
happy.
He knew.
But he had his first 4.47,
Yeah.
so he's
He
got
knew.
one good
Yeah.
in the books.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
We've seen 2 of our safeties, former safeties now, run 4.4s.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's almost like he knew you were talking about him. As he pointed right at our camera. Not Courtney Miggins.
5.01.
Love to see him
Last
get
run.
into those 4.9s here.
If he gets into 4.9s here, that's going to send a statement.
I'm telling you, I'd love to see him do it.
You like this kid.
I like him. Keep that chin down.
You two played basically the same position.
Very similar.
Yeah. What's he got to look forward to next, Jeremy? Once he gets into a camp, what happens then?
They know he's a hard worker. That's what his tape shows. So what he's got to look forward to is a team bringing him in and knowing that it's going to take a year for him to be able to get on the field and contribute. And a team knowing that, bringing him in and allowing him to grow.
5.13.
I think he's got some good football ahead of him.
Yeah. At 6'5", 290, that's not a bad time.
He's got some pretty good flexibility on him. They're really
Yeah.
going to get a chance to see that when he moves around.
And as you guys said, he's a guy, junior college, assimilated in the Southeastern Conference, became a starter, and a leader and a captain as a senior. So he might be looked on a little bit as a late bloomer, possibly. A guy who's got a lot of football left of him, and obviously his best football ahead of him. So get him in camp and see what you can do.
A classic comparable here is Farrington Hugoton from last year, 2015 defensive end, is now in the camp. Stayed around the league. He didn't really get drafted, but he's around the league now. He's on a roster, continuing to improve.
Right.
And the NFL's filled with these type of guys.
Right.
And he's in here today supporting these guys.
Good.
I actually saw him back there. So he's in here pushing and giving these guys advice.
So
Really
was
good to see
C.J.
that.
Johnson. I saw him over there as well. He's on a roster.
CJ was told he was going to make a team, and then at the last minute he was cut, but finished the season on an NFL roster.
Now he's moving.
That's Ryan Timmons. Might be able to get CJ over here. He's also on the all-interview team. That would be fun.
4.52 for Ryan. So he's both these times are right there around the same.
Right.
Yeah, these are all unofficial times, by the way. So much like the NFL Network's coverage of the draft, these are all unofficial times. The only times that count, Jeremy, are for the teams with their clocks.
Right.
That's the clock that they care about.
Right.
They don't care about what goes on here, on the air with the network, etc. It's their watch.
Boom Williams again. Going with the Nike shoes, but the socks are interesting.
Fluid start for him.
Better start.
Yeah.
Four, 5-4. Those starts for Boone.
Still improved what he did in the NFL Combine. But watching him play football, though, is interesting. You expect better times in the 40, but like I said, he's football fast. Nobody caught him.
What they're here. The 40, he fits where he needs to be time-wise on the 40. They really want to see his 3-cone.
Yeah, and he was a top 6 running back in the 3-cone at the Combine.
And I'm telling you.
That's exactly where he needs to be. That's the drill that really defines Boone Williams. And like you said, Gabe, football speed, when he separates, nobody catches him.
Nobody's caught him for the whole his whole career. Nobody caught him from behind that I can recall. Can you?
No, I can. Other than 2015, a few times he run out of gas.
That's true.
16, we saw him get in better shape.
Right.
And separated and finished those runs in the end zone.
Well, joined now by Vince Merrill, Kentucky's recruiting coordinator, assistant head coach. Congratulations on having so many talented athletes in this building today.
You know, I mean, it's not a knock against no one else, but when we first got here, you know, just knowing these guys from the league, you know, we had maybe 1 or 2 or 3 guys at the most.
Right.
I mean, today, you know, we just had our juniors take their rising seniors for next year, and they had 13 guys in there.
Wow.
And them scouts like, man, them guys look pretty good. Out here, you know, this is really our first class.
Right.
That are seniors, and I'm telling you what, they ran pretty good. Marcus McWilson and Timmons and Blake, they ran in the 4.4 range.
Right.
So, I mean, that's pretty good, you know.
Vince, this is a testament to all your hard work on the road recruiting. Did you sign these guys right here? How important is it to your incoming freshmen, the early enrollees, and the ones that will be here in June to watch this pro day? How important is that for them?
Very important. You know, when you first start out and, you know, when you're recruiting against other schools, you know, they talk about their pro days and all the scouts are there and GMs. I mean, when we had Bud here, was that 2 years ago, you had a lot of head coaches here. So it just shows the testament of our recruiting. And then for the young guys, even the guys for 2018, they watching that we are producing NFL guys.
What do you think of the process start to finish today? The weight room, the jumping. I mean, it looked like everybody was prepared. Everybody was ready to do their best.
Yes, our strengths. I love our strength staff. I mean, them guys really get after them guys. I mean, you had some guys even like Tyler Fink who did 31 times on the bench. But it's a testament of Coach Ed and Coach Hill. I mean, I put our guys up with anybody in the country. And the thing of being a good strength coach, you also got to have a relationship with these guys. And I think every kid on our team look at these guys like father figures, and they really want to work for them. So it's good to have them guys.
Vince, I'm sorry, Jeremy. What do the pro scouts think about your facilities here? State of the art. You moved over across the street here. What are they saying about your facilities?
I made a joke when we was doing the breakfast I say, when you win a couple games, you get a bump, and you move up. But every scout has told me, even the guys that's doing our juniors now, they said, "Wow, this is everywhere they've been, said this is the best facility they've been in." So,
wow.
you got to thank our administration and everybody see the vision, and we just want to keep this thing going.
Really notice how the players are embracing Coach Hill. Talk about, is it an illusion? To me, it seems like this team took a step forward in terms of mental toughness and in the way that they finished and they grind. Is this because of a change in direction with the spring program?
Well, to move forward, sometimes you got to make change. And, guys that we had here in the past, they did a good job. But when we brought on Coach Hill, and you got to credit Coach Edmond for that. I mean, he said bringing another head coach in here from another program. And I'm telling you guys, you see it. These guys don't miss a beat. And our guys really respect these guys. And, I just like to go in the weight room sometimes just to get the joy of watching them guys work them guys out. I really enjoy it.
Vince, I see Blake McClain, Marcus McWilson, J.D. Harmon. These are athletes.
Yes.
That became position specific.
Yes.
When you recruit athletes, they can play multiple positions.
Yes.
Do they see this and say, okay, this guy got plugged here. This is what I want to do?
Yes. Well, just, being the NFL liaison guy, my job is to be the John the Baptist for these guys and show them that, what they can sell to the NFL. And you take a guy like J.D. Harmon. Like I told the guys, he didn't start, but he really was a starter. But I'm telling you right now, I think J.D. met with like 5 or 6 teams having dinner with him the last 2 days. Marcus McWilson. You got some teams who play like with that safety down in the box. They think Marcus is an absolute freak, and then running a 4.47 today. That really helped him. And then you take a guy like Timmons. I really believe, we could have did more with Timmons. I think Timmons is an NFL guy, and he ran a 4.4 something today. Yeah. You look at Timmons, his built, and you think he ain't that fast, but he's a fast dude.
Yes,
and I really think he's going. I told the scout, with the opportunity, he will have a better chance, and he will show more what he got at the next level.
Coach, last one.
Yeah.
Vince, we're the same age.
Yeah.
What did Vince Marrow, the senior, run at Pro Day?
I ran a 4.51 at 252.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, now.
I was one of the fastest tight ends in the draft when I came out.
That's nice.
But I only played 1 year of college football. I played basketball, and what the guy told me if I would have played earlier, I would have probably been a top 10 pick because of I tested off the roof. I jumped 39 inches, ran a 4.52. And I think 225 I didn't do that well. I think I did about 18 or 17 times.
Them other numbers average everything else out.
Well, that's what got me drafted because I was coming out of a school, Toledo, which is a MAC school.
Yeah.
And now you got a lot of basketball guys switching over to play tight end. But when I recruit tight ends now, I want them to play basketball because I think they can transition very well to that position.
And that helps when you go on a recruiting trail. A coach that played in the NFL, was drafted in the NFL, and had those freakish numbers.
Yes.
You know what you did, and you know what to look for.
Well, I'm telling you right now, you watch our progression go in spring ball. Just wait till you see this Riggs kid. He's going to be.
I've heard you say his name
several
half a dozen times. I can't wait to see him.
Yes, he's a prototypical, and don't get me wrong, we got CJ and the other guys there, but the position is going to keep going on and on, and we got some big-time guys that we recruit now, and like I say, I know what it takes to develop this type of tight end.
Everybody wants the next Antonio Gates, right?
Antonio didn't block, though. These guys block. They got to block for me. Man. They got to block for me.
That's true. Thanks, Coach. Congratulations is all we can say.
You.
A great collection of athletes, and you've been so key in bringing them here.
Thank you. And I want to thank you guys. You guys don't understand. Y'all do a big job, too. When our recruits see you guys on the radio talking about our guys, it really helps us out a lot. So I thank you guys. Okay?
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Very impressive.
That's Vince Marrow, Kentucky's assistant head coach, recruiting coordinator, NFL liaison, former football star, freakish athlete.
My God.
At drills such as this, you can see now the cones are out, the shuttles. Guys, explain what people are looking for here.
JoJo Kemp just had a 4.37 in the L drill here, or the shuttle. You go back, you touch, and this is showing fluidity in the hips. This is what this is. When we talk about, when Jeremy and I are on signing day, we talk fluid hips, quick twitch. This drill measures that.
Yes, change of direction. Can he bend? Can he follow directions? We want him to get down there and touch that line. Can he do that? Yeah. Can he do it without thinking and wasting extra steps? But get down there, touch it, and explode out.
And don't cut corners.
Yeah, you don't want a waist bender. You don't want a player that bends at the waist and has parallel up and down legs. You want good natural bend, fluid motion. You're checking their hips. You're also looking at their eyes. Great point there, Gabe. You want to see if they're athletic enough to do these drills by feel and peripheral vision rather than putting their head down, taking their eyes off their blocker or route, and that's what they're looking for.
Do they do any similar drills in spring or summer or fall?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but these are Combine Pro Day specific.
Exactly.
But yes, you do a variation of this. Yeah, did you see
His
that?
step out of the break. I mean, that was a really good run.
Yeah.
If he that was a
4-2-1.
That was a 4-2-1. I'm telling you, if he gets another one and he can clean up that step out of that last break, that's a 4-1.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
great.
I mean, the 4-2 is a great time.
The fastest one we had prior to Marcus was a 4.37 by JoJo. Wow. Marcus McWilkinson made some money today. Oh, had a slip there by Courtney. Don't you think, Jeremy, Marcus made some money?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. That's a big man moving right there. That's what people.
4-2, and he had a bad step.
Yeah. When you get out here and when you're at the stadium and you get down low and just see how big these guys are, to see them move like this is very impressive. If he had a slip there, he's going to have a do-over. The key here, Gabe, is a good start. Also, just like the 40, you have to get out of that stance real fast, turn and burn.
See him bend. See his flexibility. That's what they want to see from him on this run. Not necessarily the time, but can he bend?
Yeah, and no wasted steps.
Look at that. That's better. That's better. There we go.
Better.
Good finish.
Yeah. 4.59, that's a good time
That's
for
a
him.
really good time for a big guy.
Yeah.
Every now and then you hear his teammates with applause. I always love that when you hear that on Pro Day.
Yeah, they get excited for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's spontaneous. It's real. Here's Ryan Timmons.
This is important for Ryan.
Yep.
More shifty than straight ahead fast here. He should have a good time. Had a false
little
step.
stumble.
Yeah.
Still overall a pretty good time.
Ryan fits that body build of a slot receiver, Junior.
He is exactly what they're looking for. You look around the league.
Almost built like a running back.
Yeah.
They want him to redo.
You know, you look at the Andrew Hawkins, you look at the Julian Edelmans.
Yeah.
They're looking for these players that are just explosive and that are just hard to defend because they're so shifty.
Yeah, you have to have. Oh.
He had the wrong hand down. That's why they want him to do it again at the start.
I didn't know that they had a preference on hand.
I didn't either. Wow.
4.34.
4.34. Not too bad.
I think he can improve that.
I do too. He had a few false steps.
Yes, he did.
Ryan, a guy who at times was a punt return man. Saved his best football for his senior year at Kentucky.
Here's Marcus in the L drill here, Jeremy.
Part of the Juice Boys.
Again, Mark Stoops talks about all the time how he wish he could have redshirted him. He'd be a junior this year with one more year. Marcus McWilson came on really, really strong towards the end of the season. Oh.
I knew he was a really good athlete, but so far with his measurables, I mean, he is
he's
definitely
having a day.
he's having a really good day.
Yeah. And I'm sure that Mark Stoops has met with teams and said, listen, this guy should be a redshirt junior right now. I played him out of necessity. Project him in that light instead of a 4-year senior.
One of those guys they had to throw in the mix when they first got here.
I mean, if they're throwing guys in the mix that are running 4.4s, how impressive is that?
That's a fluid athlete.
He wants to do better.
Yeah.
He wants a better run than that.
I heard somebody once compare athletes like this in drills like this to polo ponies, which I thought was odd.
They got to
but
go around the
exactly. And when you think about how nimble they are and powerful at the same time.
Yeah. Well, you'll see in field drills, they'll put a circle around, then you have to run around the circle.
You see head strength coach Mark Keel talking to him. He knows he can do better. He can do better than that.
Those strength coaches are perfectionists.
He's all over it.
Yeah. Absolute perfectionists.
Stay low.
Yeah.
That's good down there, turning around in that corner.
Really leaned into that last turn. 7.34.
Yeah, not bad. That's a good time.
I'll be really curious to see if he catches on how good he is a year from now.
Come on, JD. Little 60-yard shuttle here.
Yeah, this is a tough one physically. This tests endurance as well.
Look at him run through the finish.
That's a great finish.
7 career picks for J.D. Harmon as a Wildcat. Didn't like that one?
He rounded that a little bit. Still a good time.
Yeah, 7 flat, not too shabby.
J.D. Harmon with two interception games in his career. They'll finish up these drills, then they'll go to the field. The field drills, Jeremy, talk about that for us a little bit. How important are they in comparison to all the measurables in the running?
Oh, you mean like the actual ball skills?
Yeah, ball skills.
Yeah, that's going to be key because they'll get a chance to simulate and put some of these players in some of the positions that they want them to be in and see their reaction.
Yeah.
You know, you'll see some of these scouts out here, you'll see them drop back and having some of the players really open up, see how tight, see how loose their hips are. And that's a really big one, especially for the safeties and DBs when they start doing some of those checks on the functional movement.
Catching the football.
Catching the football and then making a play.
Yeah. DBs, how they stay low to back pedal.
Miggins with a 7.40.
7.59 has been the average for defensive tackle within the full combine over the last 8 years, so that's a good run.
It's a good run for him.
Slow down a little bit coming to that line.
He's got to get through that.
Blake McLean graduated in December with a degree in communications. Need to hand him one of these microphones.
Yeah, he came up a little bit uneasy there. He grabbed his calf. He could be cramping, which we saw in the combine when the record was broken at a 4.22. Ross came up with cramps in both his calves, but
he went straight to the airport after he ran that 4.2.
Well, he went to the bank first. He went to the ATM first, then went to the he made some money at that one. 4.2240. That is absolutely moving. This is good so far.
Yes, it is.
Staying low.
Look at him exploding. That's what they want to see. Stick the foot in the ground and explode out of it. Oh, yeah.
Real good time there.
Nicely done by Marcus McWilson.
11.50.
Marcus with that big pick 6 against Mississippi State. Went for 45 yards. One of those picks where the moment he caught it, you knew he was going to score.
6 foot, 212 pounds. Could play multiple positions. Could play a safety, most likely a nickel in sub packages in the NFL.
You know, someone may ask for a defensive player. You know, where is this relevant? I can tell you where something like this is relevant. Let's say a guy gets caught peeking in the backfield. Can he recover?
Yeah.
You know, he's come up, taking a few steps up. Now he's got to get a foot in the ground. He's got to get back.
Yeah. This also takes a good look at those hips too.
Absolutely.
We always talk about you have to have swivel hips, or you cannot be. You have to have fluid hips. You cannot be tight when you transition from one direction to the other.
You know, it's remarkable how much JoJo Kemp was able to contribute, given the fact that his last couple of years, really, injuries and shared the backfield with Boone Williams and then with Benny Snell as well, and still finished up 12th on the all-time rushing list and 8th on the touchdown list.
I think with JoJo, you're getting reliability.
Yep.
You're getting durability, reliability. Hardly ever injured.
Good locker room guy.
Yeah, great in the locker room.
You know,
and in the NFL, he'd be good in the community.
Yes.
Something he did a really good job there is using the hashes.
Yeah.
You can stay on the hashes and you know that you're staying on a straight line.
Straight line, yeah.
Got under 12-2.
He thinks he can do better.
Yep.
He had to start over a couple times. I think
That's a tough drill. That's a tough agility drill.
You see Ryan's all over the place.
You see,
there.
he's not on the hashes, not utilizing that to stay on the straight line.
You're much slower when you stray left and right and go in a straight line.
Still not a bad time, 11.66.
No. Timmons is an explosive athlete.
Yes, he is.
There's a lot of explosion in that body of his. Not overly tall, 5'10", close to 200 pounds.
If he can catch the football consistently, he will be on an NFL roster this fall. He is a phenomenal athlete, and he is going to get a hard look.
Yeah.
Catching consistently, a problem he battled at Kentucky. Not a great start for Boom there.
It's not.
It's kind of surprising.
Had a great combine. And what, 3-cone drill, Jeremy? Is that what he was in the top 6 of the running backs?
Oh, yeah.
All right, hey, give us a few minutes, guys, and then first.
Boom looks like he is more powerfully built now than when he played a couple months ago at Kentucky. He's put on some good muscle.
Looks like it. So next up is the set of field drills for the Wildcats. Jeremy, you were talking about that earlier, but you were also talking, Freddie, about conditioning, cardio. And yeah, they don't have to do that much compared to football, but when you mix in the nerves and the adrenaline, it can drain you here, can't it?
Absolutely, it can drain you, because this is the biggest moment of their post-college career.
Correct.
This is the biggest job interview they'll have.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you have one chance to impress. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, not only for individually yourself, but you want to showcase Coach Hill, Coach Edmond, what this program has done for you, and you're setting a message for the future Wildcats as well. Come here, this is what you can do.
For the last few weeks, these guys have been training specifically for this. So for those athletes who've been taking care of the minor, the little details, you're seeing them succeed, and that's what you're going to see. You shouldn't be out here thinking.
Yep.
No matter who's standing around the track, you're able to tune that out. I mean, you've been in stadiums for the last 3-4 years.
Right.
So doing this in front of them in this environment, this should come naturally for guys because it's repetition.
Except for the fact that you've got a guy in a Steelers jacket who holds perhaps the key to your future standing right there watching.
Jeremy made a great point there. We talked, when you said details, when we were discussing running cone drills.
Right.
If you're not staying on the hash and you're varying left to right, you can correct that. You can improve these times by practice, by repetition, by paying attention to details. So that is the mental aspect of those drills that the scouts are looking for as well.
You see some players that are doing that, the little things, staying on the hash, and you see some players that are veering out. So you kind of question, you know,
did they prepare?
Right. Did they prepare as much as some of these players?
I was about to say, this is not the first time they've done these drills.
No,
they've practiced doing it. They know exactly what they're getting into. And Mark Hill said this is his 17th year doing this. He can tell these guys exactly what they're going to have to do and how to do it.
Who's made the most money today, in your opinion? Who's had the best day?
I mean, just every hour it's just a cruise for Jeremy. I would say Marcus McWilson.
Yeah,
What
Jeremy.
do you think?
I think Blake McLean's really helped himself so far today.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Marcus McWilson.
Yeah,
I think with his size at 6 foot 212, and I would like to see what he weighed today. He looks a little bigger than 212 to me. Running that in the 4.4s, very fluid on the drill. I want to see him in the back pedal and the braking and how he catches the football as a safety. Again, he is a young senior, very young senior. I think Marcus McWilson made money today.
Hey, the fact that we disagreed on it is a good sign.
It is a good sign.
That we have more than one guy we can talk about, really. And that guy right behind us, John Toth.
He improved his 40 time by 6/100ths of a second. So,
it's just that with the DBs, with the faster twitch guys, you have a tendency to notice that a little bit more.
Yeah, you do.
And once Toth gets into camp and the other guys, Miggins.
That was the last 40 that John Toth will ever run in his life. I mean, let's just be serious. I mean, he, from now on, linemen like that. Courtney Miggins, he may have to run one for an additional look. The big guys, you want to see what they do in a 10-yard split.
Now, you may see John Toth mauling somebody up on the next level 40 yards downfield, but it'll be on his time.
Very true, very true.
So
I thought it was interesting what Vince Merrill said about the juniors that will be looked at. And that's when we're sitting here next year, we may be looking at a couple juniors that are participating in the pro day.
Yeah.
Mike Edwards, Jordan Jones, all SEC, the number 1 and 2 tacklers in the conference returning this year. There's some talented athletes in the class behind what we just saw today.
Yeah, and these underclassmen, they do these drills too.
Yeah.
They're not waiting the next year to do
No.
This is part of off-season conditioning, so they know how they stand in regards to how their seniors are out here testing today?
You know, we talked to Mark Stoops about what's the importance of your younger guys seeing this. I've been to the past 2 press conferences this week, and I interviewed several players, and one thing I asked them, the same question: did you watch the combine, and why? And to a person, they all said yes, because they had 2 player teammates there. They said, we want to learn we wanted to see what it's like and what to expect. If they're telling me they want to see what to expect, then they're expecting to be at the combine.
Yeah.
That's a very good sign for this football program.
And, you know, Jeremy can tell you that when they get into the interview segment, you know, if they get that far with NFL teams, they're liable to be throwing some questions.
Oh, yeah.
That are just completely out of left field.
Right.
Just so you can see how, you know, they can see how you respond. No surprises here. You know, that's probably tougher than this stuff, because they know exactly what's going to be asked of them in these drills, and they've done it before.
Yeah, but they don't when it comes to an interview session.
Exactly.
And I bet you if we get a chance to talk with some of these people, we're looking at Mr. Toads right here on screen. I'm certain that there's been someone that's asked him, are you an engineer or are you a football player?
Oh, yes.
There are teams that
Just
look at that and they say,
stupid question, in my opinion.
but they want to see how he reacts. Does he get mad? How does he respond?
Yeah,
How
well,
does
that
he
may be
react
why
to
it's
it?
not a stupid question, but you know, you wonder about it. I keep going back with John to Willie Cauley-Stein and the process he went through with the NBA, where he was almost forced to disavow his interest in art because they, you know, is he really interested in basketball? You know, and he had to say, well, I'm really not that into art, which he was, and it's unfortunate that it's put that way. But yeah, just to see how he handles himself, that's a different issue.
Absolutely.
My sister's a 2nd grade school teacher. Her class is watching this show, and she's talking and discussing about measurements and straight line. And she said that her class's favorite player today was J.D. Harmon. So there you go. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, there you see the collection of scouts, and there's Mr. Harmon
He's reading.
right there.
He's watching us right there on his phone.
Well, he knows he's got some fans.
Well, talk about, Gabe. You've been around this program a long time. How many athletes have come out of Paducah-Tillman High School?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's incredible. You think of so many. Billy Swanson.
Yep. That's the one pocket of Kentucky.
Josh Forrest a year ago. Yeah.
It's the one Randy White. That's the pocket of
Jay
Kentucky
Dortch.
where it's football.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, it seems like, and now it's more and more football.
Yeah.
But for years and years, it was like everything's basketball. But in Paducah, you know, and they had some good basketball teams, but man, they're football.
Well, you got Zaire Hughes, a redshirted this year, a slot receiver. I talked to him yesterday. I look for him to have a breakout season next year. But that Paducah area has produced a lot of football players.
Tom Kalinowski right in the middle of things. Kentucky's longtime equipment manager.
Is this his 40th year?
Oh my gosh, I think it is. Yeah, he is the best. He is literally the best in the Southeastern Conference, and these guys love him as much as they love the weight room guys.
Yeah. I mean,
although they'll tell you still they can't get gear out of him
they're getting a little bit more gear than my days.
That's true. Yeah.
Nike outfits these guys pretty well.
I'm going to see if they're going to see if I can talk Tom into starting the program. I got a lot of UK gear with the old logo.
Yeah, I need new stuff.
Not with the 2 new logos.
Right.
So I'm going to see if I can do some trade-ins. See if I can get some discounted merchandise.
He'll just look at you and say eBay.
Yeah.
Well, you can see what's coming up, and eventually they'll be throwing and catching here. And well, you talk about nerve-wracking. I got to think when it comes time for these guys to catch. And they send them through so many different drills, nothing they haven't done before.
Yeah.
But they want to know just how quickly can you
look
adapt.
there at Boone Williams. I mean, he has put on some muscle in the last couple months preparing for this.
He looks like he's in really
great.
good shape.
Yeah, he does. He does. He was a lot thinner, or I don't know, not that muscular, if it would be.
Right.
In practice for the bowl game when I interviewed him.
Hard to tell you two apart right now.
Yeah. I wish I looked like that.
Now,
see, that's the difference. I wouldn't dare to wear a shirt that fit like that.
I guarantee he asked for a shirt that was 2 sizes too small, and I don't blame him. But right now, he is just obviously just throwing the ball around. But he was never asked to catch the football that much.
Not a lot.
At Kentucky.
38 career catches. But in the NFL, Boone Williams will be a 3rd down back. He will be a situational running back, and he will be asked to return punts and kicks.
So on a day like today, he needs to show I can hang on to the
football. He can catch the football and
security.
the routes. And routes too. He'll need to show it. Same with JoJo Kemp and Ryan Timmons, because they all have similar body types. If you think about it, Ryan's a little bit smaller.
There's one thing when it comes to slot receivers that seems to be pretty obvious in the NFL is that all of those players at some point in their college and NFL careers were also kick returners and or punt returners. So when you look at some of the skill guys, you look at Timmons, we mentioned Timmons and Boone, one of the things scouts may ask is how come those guys weren't back there possibly returning kicks and punts? So they're going to want to see them field some of those. And
that's right. They want to see him do various stuff and do various things.
Because that's what's expected.
Diversity, that's what they want to
see Denzel Ware there giving a little bit of coaching. I don't think he's caught any touchdown passes so far in his career, but he sure has.
Blown up some running backs.
Blown up some running backs and quarterback.
Yeah.
There's Drew Barker offering his encouragement. These guys looking forward to the day they get to go through this. Drew looking forward to just getting back out on the football field. We're told that he'll be able to do some things after spring break by the end of spring practice. This is the biggest summer of his young career.
Yeah, and again, every time that we mentioned today are unofficial. Every scout out here, everybody will have a different time.
Yep.
Since it's handheld, so these are just estimates or approximations for what these young men.
Number 70, there's Jordan Swindle, who of course left the UK last year, finished up and was in an NFL camp, was on a practice squad, but trying to improve his lot in life right now.
And he got a hard look last year, and it's good to see him back. We were talking about there's not a lot of people out there in this country right now, Dick and Freddie, that have his size and have his ability.
Yeah.
So he looks like he's kind of stuck with it a little bit over the course of the offseason, and he's trying to give it another go, get back in front of these scouts.
I mean, look at those long arms at 6'8".
He is a big young man.
Big guy, yeah.
Look at that, they're testing flexibility, seeing how well these guys bend at the hips.
Yeah.
I remember when I was training, Dick, one of the tips that I got in terms of dealing with some of the scouts when they were starting to do some of these hand drills, and one of the scouts were actually holding the pads, is beat the pad up so bad that you start beating him up in the process of beating up the pad. It'll cut your drill short.
Yeah, there you go. And we mentioned Bud Dupree earlier. He hit a scout doing a pass rush drill, knocked the scout down and the pad out of his hands.
Right.
Very good.
It's amazing how quickly that drill comes to an end when something like that happens.
Yeah, no kidding.
Seen about all he needs to see.
Yeah, I'm done here.
Scouts get physical with these guys.
They do. They have to. They got to protect themselves. That's some big men out there running around.
You always talk too when you're scouting yourself, Freddie, and you're rating players, that first punch by an O-lineman.
You want heavy hands. You want that punch to be heavy, meaning that it's impactful and knocks the defensive player back. If you're an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, Jeremy can talk about it. Your first lockout, you want to be able to punch and then lock out your offensive player.
Right. And there's different philosophies. A lot of times sometimes you want to see the guy shoot out of his hips first and then bring his feet with him.
Yeah.
By shooting out of your hips at the line of scrimmage before stepping, you're able to lunge out and create some separation and then bring your feet with you.
That's the challenge right there for me if I were there, just trying to get through those pads without falling down.
Well, you want to see the head up here. You don't want to see them.
Notice he's giving specific instructions of what he wants to see.
Yeah. You want to see their head up, not looking down at the pads.
You'd like to see him bend a little bit more there.
Yeah,
he was standing up a little bit.
Yeah. This is your offensive line and defensive line going through this. One to the right, now they're going to the left. You will see their hips stay parallel too. If they get a rotation to their hips, they normally tells the scouts that they're not as athletic as they should be. You want to go in a straight line.
And gentlemen from the Atlanta Falcons, who for about 30 minutes feeling pretty good about themselves on Super Bowl Sunday. So
they were, and then it just kind of spiraled out of control.
Didn't it?
And everybody could start to sense it. You started to see the stars align for New England there, and unfortunately they weren't able to make the plays.
Right.
No pads on these old linemen. So how do you judge them?
Well, right there, this drill here, they're going to slide. So you want to see a good stance there on the balls of their feet. Nice waist bend there. Keep your eyes up. See how they move. See, you don't want to see their feet cross each other. You want to see them a good.
He stepped under himself there.
Yeah. If you step under yourself, that's a bad thing. You want to see a good shuffle here.
This is a very relevant drill.
It is. See
Look at his feet
yeah.
there.
His feet were up and down with his shoulder length apart.
I guess when they clear there, he's just telling, okay, you just
explode
yeah,
out.
just get out.
You see the other two guys are a little bit taller than John Toth, but it's interesting to me how NFL centers, you don't want them towering over the other O linemen. You want them down and compact.
Yeah. See, now there's a better view. You see his feet. You don't want to see them cross over. You want to see a shuffle. And you want those feet to be like machine guns. You want to see, you know, you don't want to see heavy steps there. You want to see them light on their feet, keep a good bend, and keep going.
And don't think for a second, they're analyzing these drills, but they're also analyzing their body language.
Yeah.
They're analyzing their cardio right now, noticing, you know, the rise and fall of their chest. These scouts, they're looking at everything. Don't think that they're just over there with stopwatches.
Yeah.
They're seeing how, if they're paying attention, listening to instructions. If a guy makes a mistake and he's the last one in the line, but the first two guys didn't make that mistake, they're recording that.
Are you coachable? That's one thing they want to see. Are you coachable?
By the way, for our viewers, may have figured this out already, but the scouts take turns doing the different drills. You're in charge of this, you're in charge of that, and that sort of thing. They've done it everywhere they've gone, so it's a team effort among the different teams. That's something that John Toth has been doing for how many years? That one drill right there. He's trying to get that opening jab.
Now he's going to snap there. John Toth is a rare left-handed center. You hardly ever see that, Jeremy.
You don't see a lot of left-handed people, period.
See that first step he comes out, that's working on getting first contact, working his way back up.
I wonder if that's an advantage or a disadvantage.
I don't know. I've never had all my years of quarterbacking, I never had a left-handed center. I don't know. So you want to see his feet there come out on his initial blocker. Now look a little different here because Jordan's going to be in a right tackle stance. See him roll his hips up there.
Oh yeah.
Keep his head up.
It's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good rep there.
Yeah. One thing you don't want to see is him eating the bag, right? That you want to see him lock out a little bit better than that. But that was a good rep there by Jordan.
Jordan, of course, going through this last year after his senior year.
And he's getting the first look here at these drills.
Yeah.
I can assure you that they're around and they're looking at Mr. Swindle as someone who can come in and help them over the course of the offseason and possibly compete.
Well, and also he's been a professional player. I mean, he's had a chance to
he's gone through a
really
camp.
work on things.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make it through a training camp. That's a big advantage.
Yes, it is.
For Jordan to come back and help these guys out on what to expect in training camp.
Every place isn't the right fit, but if you're able to stick with it.
Yeah, and Jordan has leaned up.
I was just about to say,
yeah,
he's either lost weight or moved it.
Yeah, he's leaned up, looks good.
Yeah. And he's got that height. He's, what, 6'6"?
Yes, he does.
Well, no, he's 6'8". I think he's 6'7".
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
Because John is a good 6'5".
Yeah. It was always easy to spot Jordan on the sideline.
With his height, he's in those long arms. They're definitely looking at Jordan more of a tackle than a guard just because of his height.
A little bit of hurry up and wait to pro day.
Yeah, especially for the defensive backs, you see them continuing to stretch.
Yep.
But now, guys like Courtney Miggins, this turns into an endurance event. We've been testing here for a couple hours.
And now you see more scouts kind of out there on the field getting involved, and they're starting to pull people off. So they just pulled Courtney here off on the side, and he's getting some individual instruction on what they want to see from him.
Mark Stoops said there's 23 scouts here today for 23 different teams.
Wow.
So, again, that's increasing. When Bud Dupree went through,
everyone was here.
You had head coaches were here, and there was GMs, head coaches. Now you're seeing a lot of regional scouts.
There were several private jets at TAC Air.
Yes,
well, they weren't wrong, though, were they?
No, they got that one up. Well, actually dropping to 21, I could argue that they were wrong a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah, he fell far.
Yeah.
He fell very far.
Yeah, but just watching the eyes of the Steelers personnel here, when they watched Bud, I knew that he was not going to go past Pittsburgh.
Oh no, he looked like a Steeler.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, you could tell they were very. And for these scouts, especially when the head coaches come, there's a little bit of poker playing goes on here too.
Yep.
You can't be overly excited about a player because you want to trade.
No doubt.
You don't want the other players to take your pick. So there's a little bit of gamesmanship involved.
Hey, if I'm going to ask her to prom, I'm not going to let you know because you might be thinking.
Yeah, that's true.
You're talking about the poker hand. No, it's true. I mean, these guys, they come in and they act like they try and distance themselves from some of these athletes because there's teams that have picks before them.
That's right. That's right.
And they also float names to the media just to throw up a little bit of a smoke screen.
Yeah, they do.
Guys like this, so you know, if you have a need for a center, but the other thing with John though is there aren't that many centers in the NFL.
Yeah, yes, it's a specialized position, much like quarterback on the offensive line. I mean, much like quarterback, the centers are the quarterbacks of the offensive line. A lot of mental stress, a lot of intellectual capacity has to take place on the line of scrimmage.
And I can assure you the main thing for John, they're looking at John. They want to test him as a center, but they're also looking at him to be a guard because on that level, you're only keeping X amount of offensive linemen. There may be 7 or 8. So you have to have swing people. Can John Todt help us play guard as well as center? So that type of versatility.
Yeah.
Right now we're just waiting for the receivers to get ready to run their drills and show us how well they catch the football. There's Denzel chatting it up with Boom. Denzel had a good year and talked in the preseason about how he was not going to be as timid as he had been in the past, and he put a good season together. And like these guys who are working out here on Pro Day, much of them showing a lot of leadership for this Kentucky team. Denzel Ware will be expected to do the same. This Nutter Fieldhouse has been here for quite a while. It's hosted a lot of pro days. And obviously a big step forward when this Kentucky football program opened the Nutter Fieldhouse. We talked earlier, Jeremy, about that young man, John Toth, and what he'll bring to a team, and the fact that he's really a stud in the classroom as well. That's a huge plus wherever he goes, because that it won't take him very long at all to learn what he has to learn.
Right. And where he really has a lot of value is if you're putting him in an organization where you have a young quarterback, Dick, what he did here this past season, the load that he took off for Steven Johnson by being the primary caller.
Yeah.
He called, he slid the line, he called out the protections. That's valuable in the NFL for a young quarterback where he may be in a period where he's not ready to take on all of that type of responsibility. So if you got a player like John Todt that you can bring in, and in a year he's able to process and pick up the scheme, and he can do that for a young quarterback, that makes him very valuable.
And that might sound like it's fairly commonplace, but at Kentucky things had changed to where the quarterback was handling that. And a lot of places centers do handle that, but Toth took it upon himself, and or actually the coaches asked him to, and he did a great job. And what I thought was fascinating about him was, coming into this season, they talked about the fact that, as talented as these guys are, they don't have many seniors. but you know, for a variety of reasons. But you know, they wanted more from John Toth in terms of him working with the younger guys and being a leader and all that stuff. And he's never been that vocal of a guy, but they started seeing more and more of that. And early in fall camp, Mark Stoops talked about that with us, with the media one day, about the fact that in practice that day, Toth really got after his teammates, and it really pleased the coaches. So they knew that he was, you know, rounding into that role.
Yeah, there's a lot of respect on this team. I had a chance to talk with some former defensive tackles, guys that played 1 and 2 years ago, and they just raved about the way that he attacked practice and how much he's improved. You know, he was a good player as a freshman, but from that time as a freshman, I mean, his growth has been tremendous. So he's not that vocal leader. He's that lead by example type personality,
right.
And that's fine. You have to have a mix of different type of leaders, different type of captains.
We talked to John at SEC Media Day, one of the Wildcats who went down and spoke, and somebody asked him, describe your typical day. They did a similar thing with Josh Dobbs, the young man at Tennessee, the quarterback who's studying rocket science. Toth started listing classes and labs and all that stuff, and our eyes were rolling in our heads. I mean, you know, it's just phenomenal when you think about, you know, and then you mix in, you know, the weights and you know, the training table and all that stuff. Talk about having to budget your time. Well, you knew that. You went through all that stuff, and you know, it keeps you pretty focused.
It does, and the way that he's managed it. I think my major was, it's safe to say, it was a little easier than what he took
Yes.
on. I was a poli-sci major. My type of, I didn't have labs. I wasn't doing that type of hands-on activities and things. But I mean, mechanical engineering.
It's even hard to say.
Yeah, I'm getting caught up just saying it. I know what that course load looks like in some of those classes. It says a lot about him and the way he's managed that workload.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're hoping they're throwing to the receivers. We are live at the Nutter Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Kentucky. It's Pro Day here in Lexington. We're back in a minute on the SEC Network.
Right. I would think he would be an expert commentator.
Welcome back to the Nutter Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Kentucky. It is Pro Day here at UK. Dick Gabriel, Jeremy Jarman, joined now by Anthony White, who, when he left Kentucky, was and still is in the record books as one of the greatest dual-purpose running backs. He could catch it, he could run it, he could score the football. You went through Pro Day, you went through the NFL Combine, spent some time in the NFL. What's it like for you, Anthony, when you're back in this kind of situation? Do the butterflies come back? It's got to be fun.
Absolutely. It feels like I'm about to run again. When I see the guys make a mistake, it feels like I'm making a mistake. And, I really like JoJo Kemp. And I got to know him personally from working camps and doing things with him. I don't know Boom as well, but I know what they're going through. I know every mistake counts, a misstep counts, a slip, just your demeanor when you're walking around and the way you interact with people. And it's making me nervous for those guys because I know what's ahead.
What do you think in general of what you've seen today?
I expected these guys to be a little faster. Some guys ran a little faster. I'm really waiting to see because Boom, we already got Boom's times. I'm really impressed with JoJo at his size. And, he's a durable guy. He's right there with Boom. And I expected Boom to be a little faster, maybe a little quicker than him in the drills. And JoJo's stats have really compared pretty good with
Now, we've been raving about these guys. I don't know how much you've watched. You're no running back, but the D-backs we thought have looked pretty good. What do you think?
I think they all got pretty good hands. I think that's something they worked on in practice. It seems like they're good at getting to the ball. And the big thing in the NFL, and Deion talks about it all the time, and the defensive coaches will tell you, it's not about getting to the ball and breaking the ball up. They want you to get there and get the offense the ball back. So the turnover that's a huge deal breaker if you're on the bubble to make a team. I think that's something that they'll know that you can catch the ball.
This is a drill right here that we're really seeing how fluid these hips are, how these guys can change direction, rotate. This is simulating opening up when you know that the receiver's getting ready to basically open up the stride. How quick can he backpedal? How quick can he open up his hips without wasted movement with his feet and get on his Honda and get ready to make a play on the ball?
Anthony, are these drills similar to what you went through as we look at J.D. Harmon? Oh, we got to hang on to that ball. But how much has this changed since you went through this?
It's basically the same thing. A lot of people the first questions that people ask you when you leave the combine: what did you do in the 40? What did you do in the bench press? What did you do in the vertical? Those are the things that people care about. In NFL, as a running back, you're going to block a little bit. They don't expect you to block a lot. In 40, you're never going to run straight ahead and that type of thing. And you may have to jump to catch a ball every now and then, but this is where it's made. When they see how your hips move, when they see how you change direction, how you can get there. Because a lot of times you're not knowing what they expect. And the NFL is more reaction. You study to know where you expect the play to go, but if you can react, you can make up a lot of ground.
Really good movement there by J.D. Harmon. He's helping himself with these drills. We saw Blake McLean he's a little slow. Looks like he kind of tweaked that calf muscle. He's a little timid out there doing these drills. He's probably about 3/4 speed.
Yeah, limping a little bit.
I don't know if he's going to keep trying to push through it or if he's going to go ahead and call it. I know that's a tough decision to make, but he's not 100% right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough decision. It looks like possibly a cramp or something.
Yeah.
The way his lower leg is stiff. And like you said, I'm with you. You may not get another opportunity, so you really don't want to tank it at this point. But by the same token, you don't want to put such a bad video out there that you're not even in consideration.
He's done really well on some of the other drills. That's obviously looking at the unofficial times. We got to look at the official ones, but he has helped himself today with his time so far.
Yeah, I think from the size and things he does on the field, I didn't expect him to be as quick. I was really impressed with McWilson. I thought McWilson did very well. I expected him to do good, and I think he's doing pretty good. I would like to see him catch that ball a little smoother outside of his body.
Yeah, he's guessing a little bit there. He just needs to kind of follow the direction of the instructor and keep backpedaling until he signals for you to come forward.
And that's one thing I noticed when I watched the NFL Combine on the NFL Network was that the guys were anticipating. Like every drill, they're anticipating. And I think if you're a good enough athlete, I think that's one thing I really tried to do. Like not anticipate. I'm just going to react. Like when as a running back, I'm not going to anticipate when you stop me here, I'm changing direction.
Right.
And I think they can pick up on that because you're not going to always be able to anticipate when something's going to happen.
Right.
So.
You saw Blake McLean kind of pulling up lame there, but like you guys said, tough decision.
Don't guess. Cover as much ground as you can and come back. They're not going to make you go, backpedal 20 yards, but just go cover the ground. backpedal and wait for them to signal you forward.
But wouldn't you think that that's more nerves? Because you got to have enough faith in yourself that, you know, I'm going once I turn around, I'm going to be able to do this. If he tells me to go that direction, I'm quick enough to drop my hips and change direction. I think a lot of it's nerves where there's so many things going through your mind. If he tells me to change direction and I don't do it quick enough, this is going to drop my stock. This is going to drop my points. And I think that's the thing that when I see the guys slip, when I see them hesitate, I see them not doing the drill as well as I know they can or should, it gives me butterflies.
That was a tough drill there that they had those guys going through. That was definitely one of those agility drills. It's tough on the quads doing that amount of backpedaling.
There's Ryan Timmons. Have you had a chance to see him much today, Anthony?
I saw him run the 40. I don't remember his time. He ran pretty well, though. He looked pretty quick with it. He has a strong lower body. I didn't see very many. Most I saw him do was the 40, and I was pretty impressed with how fluid he looked running.
Unofficially, we had him at 4.48 and 4.52.
Wow. 4.48 is pretty good for me. For him, that's pretty good time for me.
For anybody.
It doesn't. I wouldn't expect that from some of this on-field play.
J.D. Harmon again.
No guessing. I mean, that's just the fluid. Getting up to the highest point, that's what they want to see. The ball's in the air. Can you gather your feet up underneath your shoulders and jump up and catch the ball at its highest point?
Yeah, he's one guy I wouldn't expect to guess. And on the field, he reacts to when he gets to the ball, he intercepts it. But on the field, in game situations, he always reacts to the ball. He always gets there. Like I said, you don't expect DBs to make tackles, so some of our DBs miss some tackles. But that's one thing. When the ball was in the air, they change direction, they get there. And if they get their hands on it, they typically bring it down.
And this is a very important drill. I mean, how many times do you see in the NFL where it's one-on-one and you're matched up against a wide receiver that's 6'2 or 6'3, a Julio Jones type receiver, A.J. Green type receiver, as a 6'1", 6'2 defensive back? Can you get your feet underneath you, gather yourself, and try and keep this ball out of one of those guys' hands?
And you know what's more valuable about that? If you can change direction and cover a guy one-on-one, that leaves 10 other players to do something else.
Right.
You watch the Super Bowl when Julio Jones is going off, you got to count 3 people just for him. Then your other 8 people have to play the rest of the team, but you got to keep a guy underneath him, a guy over top of him, and a guy on the outside of him. So
one of the things we talked about with this young man and J.D. Harmon is that he did so many different things for Kentucky, you know, on special teams and DB and things like that, versatile. And all these guys were asked to play a multiple style of defense, which is what Mark Stoops brought. Something we noticed, and you and I have talked about this locally here on the radio, Anthony, that, you know, Mark Stoops brought that more sophisticated defensive philosophy to Kentucky, and only until the last couple of years has he had the personnel to really run it. And these guys had to grow into that, didn't they?
Oh, it's absolutely. You know what, I would kind of associate that same as when Hal Mumme came here. We were running offense. We ran. And when he brought the air raid offense in, you're going to throw the ball 50 or 60 times. We need people who are going to catch it. So the players, running backs, receivers, tight ends, whatever position you play, you have to be counted on to catch the ball, and that's one thing we do. And it seems like immediately when Stoops got here, we play a bend but don't break defense. We could get ourselves to 3rd and 2. We're just going to be tough in the middle where they have to second guess themselves. But if they put the ball in the air, we got to change the field. And that's one thing you could tell early off when he got here. We wanted to, whenever the ball is in the air, we will not only break it up, we want to bring the ball down and change possession.
Wow. If you're watching, you want to know how to look in ball skills. J.D. Harmon, he's looking really good out there today.
He's helped himself, it seems, today.
I would assume he is. And like the other big thing is he's played special teams. He can do a lot of different things on special teams. And I think he's the type of person that if he gets an opportunity to guard the slot, I think he's laterally, his hip movement is pretty good. I think he can play a lot of different positions in the NFL.
Be clear, to build on what you said, based on what J.D. Harmon has done here today, there is no doubt from his measurables that there's not an NFL team. What'd you say, there's 23 teams here today? He can help a team in their secondary today. I'm not saying as a starter, I'm saying coming in and competing. He has the intangibles to come in and compete for a starting spot. If it's the right location, it's the right fit, he's going to have a chance.
He's a guy you can bring on your team and develop under some veterans. And like I said, I think you can put him in on some nickel and dime defenses where he can chase a guy around. And if you just so happen to throw a bad pass or it's not perfect and he gets his hands on it, I think he can get your offensive ball
Well, you know,
back.
you guys bring up a great point, because so much of this, I mean, there's good fortune, hard work, obviously, but it's also being given an opportunity by the right team.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know, and if you end up in a camp where it turns out, well, we don't really need this guy, you know, then it's a waste of their time and a waste of your time as
Right.
well, but a waste of a great opportunity.
And that's where a good agent really comes into play.
That's true.
An agent that has the ability to kind of go back and look at news articles, go back and look at film, and know if a location is going to be a good fit for your player, to understand what exactly they're trying to do. Because the way that the NFL's changing, we're talking about this shift to 3 wide receivers, this slot. JD's one of these players. We're seeing these drills. He's got loose, fluid hips. He can come in. He's got good hands.
Yeah.
He's got good explosion. You go back and we were talking about the good athletes coming out of Paducah. You know, Josh Forrest, have you seen some of the basketball highlights with Josh Forrest and J.D. Harmon out there on YouTube? I mean, J.D. Harmon is above the rim. I mean, he is above the rim, ripping it off. I mean, he is a great athlete, and I'm telling you, he's going to end up somewhere, and hopefully it's the right place, and he's going to impress.
You see the running backs now, and trying to show how nimble and agile they are. And talk a little bit, guys, about what scouts are looking for right here.
First of all, looking to see if they can keep the ball high and tight, how quick they move their feet, get their hips in and out. This one is just changing direction without hesitating too much, losing too much. In the NFL, your hole is there for a split second. So once you see it, you have to, I know I said you really don't want to anticipate, but you have to know it's going to be there. Then you have to be able to change direction and hit it and pick up speed as you do it.
You know, another thing they're looking at, are these guys, are they looking down at their feet? Or are they looking at me while they're coming up to these cones? And you see some of the skilled guys, you see them come up and they're comfortable knowing where their feet are going to be, moving them in and out of the cones. Lets them know that they got vision. A guy can look out of the corner of his eye, know that he's putting his feet where they need to be while he's looking up for the cut that he's going to make downfield.
Yeah, I think that is a huge thing, not looking down at the cones. You know, the two that carry the ball the most, they don't seem to look down at it. They know where the cones are, they're hitting them. Because
second nature.
You got to be looking, you're looking at the next level. When you get the ball, you're not looking at the defensive line. And if you got a linebacker in the hole, you're not looking at him anymore. You're looking to see where the safety's coming from. And so that's another huge thing I think they are looking at in these drills.
These are the drills where Boom and JoJo got to succeed, and so far they're doing a really good job.
And I think JoJo probably can help himself the most, because I said I've been impressed with his agility and his times on the drills. But these are the things, like you say, you see in game mode now. Like, how quick are your feet? And these are, I think, is an opportunity for him to show him my feet are quicker than you think. Because I think they're also looking at him at fullback and running back.
Right.
So this is an opportunity to show that his feet are good enough to do either one if you need. So he's light on his feet. He's getting off the ground really quick, change direction, pick up speed. But he got off the ground pretty quick.
Put the foot in the ground and go right down the hash.
So he did a little bit better. But like you said, you want to stay on the hash, you want to cut flat. Because a lot of times that's the difference between picking up extra yards, giving the defense an opportunity to catch up with you.
There's a reason why he's standing there at that hash. He's not standing there so you can round it, go outside the hash. He's standing there so you put your foot in the ground and turn and accelerate.
There you see Boom and JoJo sharing the day, just as they shared the backfield for 3 years. And the fullbacks, Fink and Collins, trying to make a case for themselves. And again, playing a position that you don't see in the National Football League much anymore, but anybody out there shopping for a fullback knows where to find these young men.
I think it's kind of weird, though, on the drill like that, where the guy giving the instruction, the scout standing there, that you cut to where he points.
Yeah.
Because as a reaction type athlete,
yeah,
you see a hand go there, you're going to go opposite, like what Boom did on his first run. You don't tell a running back which way to cut. You just, flash something, and that way he knows to avoid it.
Or he moves his head one way or something. Yeah, that hand, I think, would throw you off. And I don't remember how we did that at the Combine. But like I said, it's so scary. It's such an intense environment that, I mean, you just have to make the best of it.
Now, I believe the running backs are going to run routes. So this is vital, and that young man will as well.
It's just a big period for Ryan Timmons.
Absolutely.
I would like to see him get an opportunity. He looks like he could be a pretty good running back or slot running back type guy.
Look it in, catch it.
And that's the other thing you realize at these things. He had to tell. He slowed up. And you run until they tell you to stop.
Right.
You want them to say, "Hey, you don't have to run to the end zone." You let them tell you that. You don't want to have to make that mistake and let them correct you.
Boom Williams.
This is the only job fair you're getting.
Right.
These guys aren't coming back.
Yes, indeed.
Boom not asked to catch the football very much. JoJo a little bit more in his career at Kentucky. Hooked it all the way in.
And both of these guys will have to do that at the next level. Just because of their size, I don't think they'll want to keep on the field for every down. That'll be an opportunity for you to be called upon and give your team some value, some third down, be able to catch the ball, give your team a little option.
In today's NFL, everybody has to be able to catch the ball, it would seem.
That's one of the reasons why we've kind of seen the shift away from the fullbacks to the more tight end, the hybrid, that hybrid size back that can get out there and extend with his arm or with his hands and his after catch ability.
Well, and Kentucky did that somewhat this year as well, lining the tight ends up in the offensive backfield.
And if you think about it right now, the most valuable running back in the NFL right now is Le'Veon Bell, and that's what he does. That's exactly what he does. Lines up in the slot, lines up outside, lines up in the backfield.
Got to account for him.
Right. You always have to.
Now Boom Williams.
Yeah, they're not putting Boom out there on third downs to pick up blockers.
No, sir. No, sir.
But his blocking did get markedly better throughout his career, I thought.
It did.
This young man could always block.
See, both of those guys caught the ball with their body. I'd like to see them catch it out with your hands. Like right now, there's no defense. There's nobody coming around. The ball is at your numbers. That's a perfect opportunity for them to show you why you have hands and what you can do with them. Exactly.
Catch it with the hands.
Well, you know, we all grew up in the backyard catching it into the body.
Yeah,
you know, I got to think that's a tough habit to break.
These are some good balls that are being thrown to these guys as well. This isn't Freddie Maggard throwing them.
Wow.
I was wondering why they come out so we couldn't see who was actually throwing the ball, so I was wondering.
Ryan Timmons with another shot.
You see those slot receivers doing that a lot in the NFL. Getting right inside those hashes, catching it, and turning right upfield.
You heard a loud pop. I can hear the pop in there when he caught the ball. I like the fact that he came back for the ball, but I would like to hear a little more of a softer feel when he catches the ball. Everything else was good, though, with the hands. See, that's the third time Boom has went out for a route and caught the ball with his body. Like I said, I would like for you to, whatever you have to do to get your hands underneath you, turn your hands downward and catch the ball, because like I said, right now there's no defense, so they don't know what you're going to do in the game situation when you're expected to catch the ball. They had never seen you really catch it with your hands.
You would think that would be something that they would be doing, knowing that may be what the scouts are looking for, to see players catching it with their hands and not their body.
It's something that they have to
practice,
take on themselves. My freshman year, I was terrible about catching the ball. It was on my body. I had a rough time, but there's a lot of things going through my head. When we got a coach in that said, we're going to throw the ball, and for you to be on the field, you have to catch it. Nobody would ever, if you've ever seen my freshman college film,
I was there.
Everything.
I was there.
I dropped everything. Most of it, I think, was nerves.
Yeah.
Because I was pretty athletic. I played basketball and a lot of sports, so I could catch, and I had good hands. But for some reason, I couldn't. But when the coach came in and said, if you don't catch it, man, we were on a jugs machine, a tennis ball machine. Any opportunity you had to put your hands to work, we were
there. It is.
Man,
there
look at that.
That's what they're looking for.
Talking about this shift of the NFL to the slot receiver sets, and you see these players, the Cole Beasleys, the Andrew Hawkins, the Welkers, the Edelmans, I mean, these players, I mean, it's almost like they're unguardable right now in this NFL. It's so vital for an NFL team that is playing in some of these queen sets to find that slot that can keep the chains moving.
It's the hips and the hands. If you can get 3 to 4 yards and catch the ball, 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5 is very manageable in the NFL. Very manageable.
Catching with his hands.
And doing a great job on that drill, Tanner Fink.
He is.
You even see a lot of teams going to shotguns and things like that in the red zone, on the goal line, because I mean keeps the defense off balance.
It's safe to say at this point that Tanner Fink has helped himself in terms of establishing that he's a good athlete. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. He threw up 30 reps on the bench press. He ran a 4.8 and came back and ran a 4.75.
Wow.
I mean, at 6'2", 250 pounds.
That's the buzz over. That's the buzz over there on the field. Everybody's Fink, and I had to stop and ask the guy. Fink, I don't remember him, making very many plays. I know we talked about some fullback sets, and they were saying,
weren't that many.
His name has been talked about a lot over there. There's a buzz going for him.
It's a nice grab by Ryan Timmons.
He's impressing right now. I could just sitting here watching this. This is a great day for him.
Ryan Timmons was looking like the freshman Ryan Timmons that we saw when he first got here. I know throughout his last couple years he had a couple problems here and there catching the ball, but this is exactly what you want to do. There's no defense there. There's no equipment on. Just naturally, what can you do? Just show your natural ability. They would give you the work and opportunity for you to prove yourself.
And that's a route that I don't know that we ever saw Boom run at Kentucky, so they're asking him to do some things that really aren't in his comfort zone, which is a good thing if he can adapt.
Looking over his shoulder.
Yep, exactly.
Because if you get a mismatch, you want to be able to capitalize on it. That's what the NFL is about. It's taking advantage of other mismatches and mistakes. If it takes a wheel route to get you open, so be it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Fink will try to impress again. This time out of the three-point stance.
Sit in there, don't fade away from the ball on that. He kind of started fading back as he was catching it. Yeah.
Now Taco Meat. Probably the best nickname on the team. Even better than Boom.
I wonder why Tanner didn't.
That was nice. Over the shoulder with hands.
I wonder why Tanner didn't run the wheel there.
I don't know.
Maybe he wanted to save his energy for the next round. You know what I noticed? And I was watching the defensive line over there running. We had one guy, and I said, they're wearing this guy out. Everybody else has another guy you can wait and watch and get some mental reps while he's doing it. And they were just over there wearing him out. Miggins.
There it is.
He's looking really good. He's looking really good.
Yeah, those feet in bounds.
And another thing I think these guys have to keep in perspective, if your college career didn't go the way it wanted to go, sometimes the team and the requirements of the team call for you different things.
Right.
Maybe you weren't supposed to be the focal point. Maybe you were being double teamed a lot, so your stats didn't show. This is an opportunity to show naturally, if you put me in a position, I can capitalize for you. That's what you want them to know.
Yeah.
And I think Timmons is doing a great job of that. Fink as well, because I hadn't heard much about the guy.
No. They didn't ask him to do much in this offense.
That was a good catch. I would like to see him catch it over the outside of his shoulder, but he is a running back and not a receiver. But he did catch it softly and secure.
Tanner Fink again.
Little wheel here.
Caught it with
Not
all
bad.
hands, too.
Yeah.
All hands.
There's the wheel route you wanted to see.
Yes, indeed. Get that big guy with I guess the only person you can have chasing him is a defensive end or something.
And, in all fairness, we might have seen more thrown to the fullbacks had Drew Barker remained healthy.
Right.
But the offense had to change, had to shift. We would have seen more throws to the tight end, or tight ends, I should say, plural. But when Barker went down, they had to basically, I won't say throw out the playbook, but they highlighted a different chapter, if you will, for Steven Johnson.
Yeah, with the triple option, or just the ability of to run the wildcat and different things like that, I don't think that we're going to have a threat with the tight end.
Right. But I think you'll see more. Now, he did throw 3 touchdown passes to C.J. Conrad the first game he played in, Steven Johnson.
Yeah,
but you just, I think you'll see more of that coming up, especially, who was the first name that Vince Merrill brought up when he was talking about players?
Riggs.
Yeah.
So he keeps bringing
the third string guy.
Yeah, who redshirted this year. So
Justin Riggs, he's raving on Riggs. Been raving on him from day one.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, make sure my back should get some of those catches as well while you're throwing the ball to everybody.
Boom struggling a bit on that particular
just looking
pattern.
The ball in and trying to get his hands on it. He's using his body a lot to try and to try and catch the ball.
I tell you what, that's the toughest catch for, I don't know about a receiver, but for me as a running back, running to your left, that's the toughest catch. I don't know what it is about the way this hand is turned. I'm right-handed, but running to your left, catching the ball out in front of you is a tough. You don't really know how to do your hand.
Lead hand is your left hand.
Yeah, it is tough. That is a tough catch.
Nice job. It's going to be really interesting to see this Kentucky team this upcoming year with some of the guys coming in, the red shirts and true freshmen, but they're not going to be thrown into the fire as these guys were as true freshmen 4 years ago.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm waiting to see what A.J. Rose has. I heard a lot about him. Saheem King, I think he should get a lot more reps at running back.
They both bring speed.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. And we have Thunder and Lightning back.
There you go.
It's going to be exciting to see Brian Coe back.
Once he's healthy.
Once he's healthy. He's on campus now, and he's projected to be out there and competing this fall. So
yeah,
really high on him after seeing his high school production.
Ryan Timmons, again, maybe not the volume of catches we might have thought we'd see, but he saved his best for his senior year and made some difficult plays in his senior year as J.D. Harmon just comes by and chats with Mr. Jarman.
Tell you one thing, that little small display right there tells you that he's having a good day. I know when I was nervous, you don't do anything but hide, find yourself a nice cozy nook and just sit in there and think about your mistakes.
JD knows he's having a good day. I mean, he is. I mean, this is a day for him. I mean, this is.
Yeah.
He was made for this. I mean, he's out there showcasing this ability. High knees, change of direction, opening up those hips, explosion, backpedaling, then driving, showing that burst. He hasn't done anything out here today at this point that shows that he can't play and guard against elite talent.
Right.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at the Nutter Center on the University of Kentucky campus. Pro Day here in Lexington, and that young man, JoJo Kemp, is, well, they'll always be teammates. The guys who wrapped up their career at Kentucky now looking forward to a chance at a career perhaps in the National Football League. We want to thank you for joining us. And as always, follow the Kentucky Wildcats here on the SEC Network. For Freddie Maggard, Jeremy Jarman, our thanks to Anthony White for dropping in, and our thanks to Mark Stoops and his staff for making things easy on us today. For our entire crew, that's it. So long from Lexington.